Is Christian Day, and this is episode 3. If I'm here, type a message in the chat, because I had to do an update on my Ecamm studio thingy, and so I don't know if it's actually working. I think I'm live. Am I live? No, I can't mask the damn thing. Okay, yes, I am live. See, I'm having all these damn issues with this little, like, I'm supposed to be able to make the mic disappear. Oh, there I did. Hold on. Oh, there you go. So you can make the mic disappear. Excuse me. I'm getting over. The reason I didn't come in last week is because I was having this terrible sinus infection. But I got my nice new chair, and it's really comfortable. I seem to be a little off-center here. What's happening here with the... Oh, here we go. And let me know if the sound is in any way problematic. I love that word, problematic. I'm problematic. I'm proud of being problematic. And I want to shout out to the crazies because, like, I've been really trying to hold myself back saying, like, catty things on my Facebook because I think, no, it's so much better if I say them here. Because I have found out that the craziest haters, you know, like the Amandarella, whatever the hell her name is, Amanda Parker from Roswell, New Mexico, Erica Burton from wherever the hell she is in British Columbia, and Shauna Knight of whatever couch she's sleeping on this week. You know, they'll sit there and listen to this entire show to pick apart every little thing I might say. And I thought, oh, that's so much more fun. Like, why would I give them screen captures when I can know that they're listening in?
How quaint. Even the rabble.
Oh, see, that's not coming through. Hold on. Oh, because I had to restart the damn thing. I had the perfect comeback. Let me just go get it. There's always something. There's always something. Okay, let's try that again.
How quaint. Even the rabble.
They kind of are the rabble. Anyway, and I'm the rabble rouser, because I can get them every time. Boop. Well, this doesn't... See, I've got this beautiful keyboard sitting down here. It's this iRig keys, IO 49 keys here, so I can use musician and try to teach myself the piano. Literally, this is the epic. And I've got the Rodecaster, I've got the Stream Deck. I finally found the perfect little platform to put the Stream Deck on as far as size, because the other one I got was too big. But now it's wobbly, and I don't know how to make it not wobbly. So every time I press the Stream Deck, I think it's going to come off. And then I get the, what is it called here? The iMac, but I want to get either a Mac Mini to go under the table like at the store, or I want to get a MacBook Air just for this, so that I, excuse me, with like a touch screen, you know, you can hack touch screens to work with the Mac, you know, and have that here. Because underneath my voice, you can sort of hear this fan. And of course, you know, most people aren't going to notice. I'm the crazy one that will notice. But I don't like it. And let me see. I put this high pass filter, and that that gets rid of a lot of it. But then I sound tinny. So it's like, okay, how do I find this middle? Yeah, that's sort of okay. No, I still sound tinny. But it's very, very hard. You know, you want to be perfect in all things. Well, at least I want to be perfect in all things. You know, which makes it so difficult to live in this city, which is the capital of imperfection. I've been to third world countries that have more efficiency than this place. Let me see. No, that's a little better, but it's tinny. What are you going to do? What are you gonna do? I'm gonna sound tinny. That's what there is. That's gonna sound tinny. Let me see if I can go in here. Advanced audio processing. Do I got my? I don't know. Operation. It's such a fun tool, but it's like, what do you do with the damn thing? And I don't seem to have. There's like a big bottom sort of thing, love a big bottom. There's apparently this bottom sort of thing that I'm not finding here. It was here. They must have taken it out or moved it somewhere. Master compressor. No, I don't want that. Or do I? No. They added some new things to this thing. This Rodecaster. It's really amazing. But I don't know. I thought there was this, I don't know where it is. It was called the Big Bottom. It was supposed to give it some extra bass here so that I don't sound tinny when I try to turn the high pass filter out. So I'm going to turn the high pass filter down. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I get this affix into mix, tone. Oh, here it is. Oh, here it is. Here's the Big Bottom. Come on, let's see if I can bottom out. Is this a little better? Now, it was supposed to have reverb, which really sucks because I was all excited about the reverb. So I could actually sing, which is I'm sure everybody's wanting me to do. Not, especially with this Big Bottom, it gives you that kind of, you never find another love like mine, someone who needs you like I do. You'll never find. Sure, I can sort of sing the, what does they call it, blue-eyed soul. Here we go. Try that. All right. No, Kevin, there's still this sort of thing that's happening, and it's driving me crazy. Maybe when I turn off, the noise gate. Who knows? It's really annoying. It's not perfect, Kevin. It's not perfect. You can hear this underlying, and I think if I go to record an audiobook, it's really going to suck. So anyway, the number to call here is 608 Warlock, and if you want to call the numbers, that's the number. I can't see it. It's too small on the screen. But the numbers are on the screen. I need to make them bigger next time. But the number to call is 608 Warlock. My callers are my co-hosts. You set the topics. I take call-ins. You decide what we're going to talk about. I've got Pastor Phil calling in at about 8:30. We're going to talk a little about how he was banned from Facebook and make fun of the Qs. I'm wearing my special Zeus ring here. This is my Zeus ring. And this says, Zeus, you did me a solid, for those that know. And, here we go.
How quaint. Even the rabble.
You done mess with the wrong witch.
Oh, this one. Hold on, here we go.
This coven doesn't need a new supreme. It needs a new rug.
Oh, so Wicked Witch said, do you know any Barry White? That was Barry White, isn't it? No. That's Lou Rawls. Lou Rawls. I should know. I was a karaoke host. I know every kind of music. What's Barry White? Darling, I can't get enough of your love, baby. Oh, Lisa said, with your musical training, your ear is going to pick up tones and things that wouldn't bother anyone else. But it's going to matter when I record my audiobook. I think that this sort of backup is, this backup noise is going to be a problem. And of course, I can't have anybody record my audiobook but me. No one, which was Storm Sestavani, which was done much better by the Jewish goddess Taylor Dane. Well, I never liked Barry White, and he was bitter for decades because he lost Best New Artist at the Grammys to Bette Midler. But I mean, Barry White, Bette Midler, just saying. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I wish I could be. But I think it was done better by Sheena Easton. 'Cause I never really thought of Bette Midler as a singer. I realize that's gay blasphemy, but I just don't think of her as a singer. I think of Bette Midler as a performer with a voice of sorts, but, you know, put her up against like a Taylor Dane or a Sheena Easton, and, you know, it's just not quite the same is all I'm saying. It's not quite the same. You know, I mean, she's all right. You know, Bette Midler. I realize I'm offending every gay in the room. Let me see here. What am I doing? Okay, here we go. There's a little room noise. There's a little room noise. I got some topics. Waiting for people to call in. The number is 908 Warlock. I think people are afraid. Liz Godfrey said, Beaches is the best movie to cry to. I don't know, did I? I don't think I cried during Beaches, oddly enough, and I didn't cry during Steel Magnolia. But what did I cry? I didn't know Taylor Dane won the Masked. See, here's what I don't understand about that Masked Singer. I think that's like so fake. Because how would you not recognize Taylor Dane? And it was like when Dionne Warwick was on there, and the people are up on the thing going, what? I think this might be, you know, I don't know, Gladys Knight or what. I'm like, nobody sounds like Dionne Warwick. And the worst was they had Patti LaBelle. Is it 608 Warlock? Well, what am I telling people? Isn't that what the number is? Yeah, that's the number. 608 Warlock. Lisa just said 608 Warlock is on the screen. I'm pretty sure that's the number. But when Patti LaBelle was on The Masked Singer, I said 908. No, it's 608 Warlock. And do call in. My callers are my co-hosts. And I don't understand how anyone could be like listening to Patti LaBelle and going, oh, that's Brandy. Like, there are some voices that are so distinctive that I find that, I mean, yeah, okay, well, who was the one that won last year? Candy Burris from The Housewives. Well, nobody's listened to her in 50 years, so, you know, I can understand people not recognizing that voice. But you put somebody like a Dionne Warwick, and I'm just saying, you know, do you know the way to San Jose? Which is why I'll never understand why these festivals insist on being in the godforsaken San Jose. If you're going to do a magical festival in the San Francisco area, be in San Francisco. Stop being cheap. Be in San Francisco. Like actual San Francisco. You know, like Golden Gate Bridge and Rice-A-Roni and Chinatown. You know, San Francisco. And I'm looking for calls. 608 Warlock. I did have some little topics here. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, this one. This was one of my topics. You know, so one of this week's accusations was that I pay for people to do my magic for me. I've heard that rumor. They tell that rumor about me, and they say it about Sally Ann Glassman. And it's bullshit both times. Like, here's the kind of magic I ask for help with. The same kind of magic everybody else asks for help with. When I'm on my Facebook and I'm like, oh, so-and-so's in the hospital. Can everybody send some energy and light a candle? Like, everybody does that. You know, can you send me some healing? You know, once in a million years, if it's healing related, you know, I might call up Lori Cabot or one of these other really, you know, truly magical, talented people, and some people don't know, and say, you know, can you send some healing? But not for anything. I am part of one of the most badass magical covens in the world, the New Orleans Coven. You know, I'm first degree in it, so, you know, my husband is the high priest, but nonetheless, when we stand in circle, the magic happens. So I don't really need to go far from home to ask anyone for magical help. I either do it myself or I do it in the circle, in which case I have all the energy with me to do it. And so I don't need to go out and ask for that sort of help. But this rumor started with a person that I'm going to call him. I didn't come up with this name. Someone in the New Orleans community came up with this name, but it is, I love it so fucking much. Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles. I've always hated meth addicts. Well, not always, but I've hated them ever since they forced Sudafed behind the counter, because that Sudafed, the pseudoephedrine, that's the only thing that works. Can someone, Kevin, can you try calling in just to see if the call-in works? Because I'm worried something's wrong. Anyway, so the pseudoephedrine, that's the only thing that works. Someone did recommend ephedra as an herb, some sort of plant from China version. But that phenylephrine HCI, whatever it is, there were all these articles about it a few years back. It's a placebo. It doesn't work. I don't know why they continue to sell it, but it doesn't work. It doesn't help your sinuses at all. And so now, because of, people like Mephistopheles, you can't go, to the drugstore and easily just give me the 90. Oh, well, you sure you can have 90? You had 20, last month. We count how many you can have. And it's like, just give me the fucking Sudafed. I've never even smoked a fucking joint. I've never done anything. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never even been fucking drunk. Give me my goddamn Sudafed. My sinuses are miserable. So, speaking of which, grab this joint again. Probably make some noise. I call that the Yeti queef. And anyway, Mephistopheles is what I'll call him. He became sort of Facebook famous a few months back for breaking up with his business partner and stealing thousands of dollars and, just also, and basically going on an apology tour on Facebook to talk about his meth addict. Oh, there I see you, Kevin. So it does work. So I'm going to just drop the call, or you can drop the call. So anyway, and from what I understand, he's still a meth addict, and they're cooking it in his apartment. So he's still Mephistopheles. But years and years ago, he was staying at my house in October, and this was when I had this horrible woman that was working for me that quit, and then basically, was dishonest about it, and I was in a situation where I could fight it legally. My lawyer wanted me to, my husband wanted me to, but it just would have been aggravating. So I paid $13,000 to this person and then promptly sold Leo Martello's ritual sword that Lori Bruno gave me for exactly $13,000 because she had lent her lawyer to this woman so she could sue me. And since I was not going to be upstaged in any way, I gave the $13,000 knowing I was going to turn around and sell this ritual sword connected to a practitioner. I don't have any, I don't know anything about Leo Martello other than his book, and I liked it well enough, but I had no reason to have his sword, and it made more sense to get the $13,000 back. And Lori's been screaming about that for the 8 years since. The thing that upset her the most, that I sold that sword. Well, don't put me in a situation and I won't have to make a scene. And so, anyhow, I have this piece of magic that Sean made for me, my best friend Sean Poria, that died in 2007. And there was one year we were all poor, and he made everybody these Christmas stockings, and they were called Grim Stockings, and I've got Lauren Morris making them for the shop soon. And basically, this, what do you call it? Mine was, they all were different. One of our coven members up north, was an herbalist, so she got one with herbs. he made one for Lori Cabot with chess patterns and chess pieces, and I got this creepy thing called Hecate's Jewel, which was very dark, and when he died, it became, these people that think I run around cursing, I really don't. I very rarely, like almost never. Like the people you'd think I might have, I never did. Like people say I take credit for this with the grimaces or that one or this one or that one. I didn't take credit. I think the gods did it. I left Zeus some honey when I went to Greece, but I didn't lift a magical finger. I almost never do. Like my mother's rapist ex-husband, yeah, I put him in the stocking. He died 6 months later. I'm not saying that the two were connected, because I'm not really supposed to brag. The eyes tell the story. However, why am I not getting any... Kevin, I'm not getting any chat either. This is starting to concern me. Am I still online? Hold on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the chat... I had to reinstall this. Linda Morrissey, I was afraid to even touch that stocking when I packed up your house when you moved. Linda! Yeah, I can see it. I'm not getting, I guess people are quiet. I'm not getting calls this week. I get it. It's just a lot of people are watching, but they're just not interacting. They just don't love me anymore. Anyway, I did not send out a current notice. Yes, I did. I sent one like a half hour before. Anyway, I decided I was going to put this particular woman in the stocking because she was really getting on my nerves. And, wait a minute, hold on. What does Brian have this heat on? Genie Christmas. Kevin, Jennifer Medway says I'm only live on YouTube and not Facebook. Can you check? I don't want to have to go look. I don't know what's going on. This has been like a lot of bullshit with the technology tonight, which is kind of annoying me. So Kevin, if you could check and see if like my personal Facebook. Well, okay. Angela Potter saying no Facebook. Kevin says I am on Facebook. Lauren says I'm watching on Facebook. I don't know. Everybody has a different experience, I guess. I'm both there and not there at the same time. Anyway, I don't know if I'm on my personal, like my Christian Day 13 Facebook. I don't know. I'm on Facebook and you are, yeah, there's a lot of Facebook icons. So yeah, people are watching me on Facebook. Well, what are you going to do? Well, anyway, so I wanted to put this creature into the stocking, and Mephistopheles was staying at my house that October. Yeti Queef. So that he could work at my psychic fair. And so he said, well, I can help you with this. Like, well, what am I going to do? Say no? I'll always take the extra little juice. So he put together this little coffin box. And, with herbs and all this other stuff, which, you don't need to do with this stocking. But I said, oh, what the hell? I'm going to let him help. Whatever. And, so we put it in, and I do everything that I'm supposed to do. And after we're done, he says, oh, by the way, I put Lori Bruno in there too. Well, I didn't ask him to put Lori Bruno in there, and I don't really like people fiddly-diddling with my fucking magic, which is why I generally never ask people. Almost like, and again, if it's healing, hey, light a candle. That's what I ask for. I generally don't like to involve people because people are stupid and fuck shit up, no matter what they're doing, magic, plumbing, whatever. So he says, I'm live on my public page, but not on personal page. Kevin, can you check Restream and see why? Did it disconnect in some way? Because every once in a while you have to reconnect it. Okay, so apparently I'm not live on my personal page, and not really much I'm going to be able to do about it now unless Kevin can figure it out and turn it on. but it'll come out late anyway. So if you're missing it on Facebook, well, it's not like the fucking YouTube link isn't there. People click the goddamn YouTube. People can't figure shit out. So anyway, what was I saying? So Mephistopheles there. He says, oh, I put Lori Bruno in the Stockings. Well, you know, didn't ask for that, but I figured, whatever. So I looked at him and I said, oh, well, that wasn't part of the plan. I said, but, you know, I said, well, if she croaks, I'll take you out to dinner. You know, that was my joke. And literally, the moment he was no longer in the house, I took the coffin box out of the stocking because, you know, I have my issues with Bruno and the way she dragged me through the international news and all the things she's done, but I've never cursed her and I haven't never wanted to. And, you know, the other one, I never ended up putting her back in the stocking because she did finally open a store in Salem, but it's, you know, she's just sort of scraping by, and sometimes it's good to just let your enemies scrape by. And so he then went and ran down to Lori Bruno to tell her that I hired him to curse her, which has now become Amanda Parker from Roswell, New Mexico's little latest thing that I, you know, this thing about her, you know, now she's putting together some website with all the things I've said. If I've said it, I said it. Only rarely do I regret what I say. And if I delete it from my wall, it's not because I'm afraid someone's going to see it. Half the time I didn't delete it. I go, every once in a while I go in and I set everything in the past to friends only. So it, like, one of her little flunkies was like, everything back to 2018 disappeared. He must have deleted it. And I'm like, I didn't delete shit. I just set it all to, you know, friends only. So anyways, I do sometimes delete things just because you get sick of looking at it. You know, it's like, oh, well, I'm feeling kind of negative. I don't want to look at the negativity. And if people respond to it, then I have to respond to it. And so sometimes I delete it. You could put everything I've ever said in the universe on some website. And if someone doesn't talk to me because they don't like what I said to someone that was a cunt to me, I don't care. Like, literally 95% of my income comes from middle-aged women with endlessly available credit cards that want psychic readings that know nothing about witches, pagans, or anything. Everything else that I do besides selling psychic readings is because I'm creative and I like to do them. Like retail, I wanted to do it because I wanted to do it. I mean, it makes us money, but again, it makes us money from people buying readings that are middle-aged women with disposable credit cards that just want a reading and don't really care. And I could be the second coming of Satan. And if I can tell them the next time that the dude's going to stick his cock in her, they're going to pull out the credit card. They want to know when the hole's going to get filled. Storm Sestavani can back me up on this. Just saying. They want to know when they're going to get fucked. When's he going to call? When's my man going to call? If I can put a psychic in the chair that's going to tell them when the man's going to call, they don't care what I said to who. They just don't. And if somebody says something rude to me and I up the ante, I don't feel bad about it. You came into my fucking dragon's den. You decided, oh, maybe he won't actually breathe fire. And I did. I mean, what the fuck? So anyway, I say things, you know, sometimes I'm rude. Sue me. So, at the end of the day, I don't need to pay, you know, but they just love to say these things, you know. So the latest is I pay people for, you know, like I actually need to do that. Why can I not see my notes here? Oh, good. There's some other little things. And plus I have a guest coming in just a second. And I want to I want to, as Ariana Trudell says, I also have supplies people need. Well, this is true too. I mean, again, when I first opened Hex, the first Hex, I said, I know how this is going to work. These people that are walking around Salem saying, I want the love of the goddess so I can project for the perfect man, when what they really want is a specific man, or they want something, that is considered taboo, and, they're going to wander all over Salem. And when nobody has that sort of thing, they're going to realize Hex is that last resort, like the witch is the last resort. Sort of speaking to the guest that's coming on in a minute, look at the Witch of Endor when, King Saul, his soothsayers or what have you, could not conjure up the spirit of Samuel. Where did he go? The Witch of Endor. And she was right, just saying. But this idea, that the products that we sell, the readers, we have to delete and reconnect them after. Oh, I have links to YouTube anyway. Go to the YouTube link if you're on my personal page. I guess you can actually play it right on Twitter. The point is that, I just lost my train of thought looking over there at the comments. I hate getting old. Then I have to go back and say, what was I talking about? Now, the products and whatever it is people come in, if they want it, they're going to want it regardless. I mean, there's nothing that Amanda Parker of Roswell, New Mexico, could ever do that would top when my niece had her drunk driving accident and I bought her lawyer, and I had all of these women running up and down the streets of Salem, and they had like 20 little girls with them that all looked like the Aryan Nation girls. They were all like between 5 and 10 and all had perfect blonde hair. And they were handing out Mothers Against Drunk Driving ribbons, and they put these notes under the windshield wipers of every car in the downtown Salem, including in both parking garages, saying that Crowhaven Corner and Hex and Omen had financed this murderer's legal fees. And like, I helped my niece get a lawyer for a situation. That's what family does. So if these people went direct, they were literally out in front of Omen, handing these ribbons, saying to people, don't go in there. He's helping a murderer. And literally, my staff said, not one person, because I was busy with the TV crew, which strangely didn't want to go overtime and film all this wonderful drama. But not one person didn't go into Omen to get a reading because, Kitty Aryan Nation was out there handing out Mothers Against Drunk Driving ribbons and calling me the financier of a murderer. And it was like women going into an abortion clinic. They're sort of going, but they still go in and flush it out. I shouldn't say that, but Phil's going to hang up. But the point is, they still came in and got their reading. So if Amarella's got something in Roswell other than aliens that can top that, like, go for it. I'm not concerned. I don't like some of the lies. I will address them like Mephistopheles. I mostly just brought that up so I could use the term Mephistopheles. He's already got 20 different names as it is. God, I wish this keyboard worked so I could go bling. Anyway, I'm going to bring on a friend of mine who's I've been friends with since, God, what was it, 1997. This friend of mine messaged me at salemtarot.com, which is my first website and sort of how I kind of got in the direction of the career of witchcraft. And it was at the time when Lori Bruno and Janet Andrews were trying to put Lori Cabot in jail, and I found out through this New Wine Christian thread that this pastor Harvey Brown was in Salem and saw Janet renouncing witchcraft and praising Jesus and all of this. when my friend Sandra had been at Bruno's house and saw Janet there in a tracksuit celebrating Lammas or Mabon or one of those things. And I'm like, I called up Bruno. At the time, I was Team Cabot. And I said, what the hell's going on? She was just there to hear her daughter sing. So I then realized that Phil was at this thing. So I reached out to him, and I don't remember exactly how, but it was something to the effect of, here's your chance to prove yourself to me, because I had a sense that he and I shared what my friend Levi and coven brother Levi Rowland calls my Calvinist obsession with the truth. I said, because I knew that Reverend Ken Stagler from this church was lying to people. And said, oh, no, she's just there to hear her daughter sing. And I said, well, Phil, you were there. What was she doing? Oh, she was renouncing witchcraft and praising Jesus. I said, well, what the hell is she doing in a coven ritual a week later? It just says a little weirdness. So, I gave all this information to Lori Cabot's lawyer, and Janet ended up dropping the case. And so, they were none too happy with me and finding all of this. But that it began a long friendship. And in 2004, Phil was given this huge, grant to build his church in Salem. He's very witch and pagan friendly. I mean, he believes what he believes, but he also, understands we're not baby-killing Satanists and what have you. And he and I ended up on the Wall Street Journal cover because they excommunicated him from his church for being friends with witches. And they were like, well, how can you be friends with witches? And he's like, well, how can I not? Jesus. And so, flash forward, and both he and I, from our own particular political places, don't like Trump. And we think that both Trump and the QAnon cult are really making too many inroads into both witchcraft and especially Christianity. So I was supposed to go on his podcast last week, and now I'm going on this coming week on Tuesday at 1 p.m. And his Facebook was banned. No warning. He'd never been in Facebook jail, just completely banned. We think it was because of this, that he was talking about the Qs, and maybe they thought he was one. But we're going to bring Phil on to talk about this a little. And let me see. Is this? Oh, yes. Okay. Let me see if it works. Phil, you there?
Hey, is this the Facebook Pagans for QAnon support website?
I don't know. It's crazy.
Isn't it? What a weird world, man. Yeah.
If you'd asked me if you'd asked me who on your Facebook friends list is least likely to be banned from Facebook, it would be you. That was so shocking.
Yeah, I didn't. I know. I didn't think I had much of a chance of getting banned. And although it shows that if you're trying to make peace between radically divergent perspectives, and you allow people, to dialogue with you, you're going to get shot from both sides.
Well, I know the feeling.
And now these days you're going to get shot by a bot. It's going to be some algorithm on a computer.
Do you think it was? Because I read an article recently, someone sent me, that Facebook actually farms out a lot of their monitoring, and it's done by different companies because one just resigned. So there's multiple companies. And so that changes the dynamic, I think, a little, because now you're not just dealing with the owner of Facebook who's a Jewish liberal. You're dealing with whoever owns the company, and maybe they're a Trumpy or a QE or a something, and you got to wonder, would a bot have just automatically banned you? I feel like that might have actually gone to a person if there was a final ban.
Right. The bot probably is a Bing, right? It just says,
let's here go look at this.
And then somebody looks at it, sees QAnon, sees the fact that we have a live event, and, looks at Christians and pagans, and then says, oh my gosh, without reading it, and hits the permaband.
Well, it could have been a Q. My point is, it could be a Q or one of these. I mean, because now you're looking at all of these subcontractors. You don't know what kind of kooks could be working there.
Oh, well, and I've been reading some, post this experience and reading up on what's going on with Facebook. And let's face it, our quote, liberal Jewish owner is not actually, the company's been pretty forward in helping the inadvertent promotion of things like QAnon and Trump. Things they could have stopped earlier, they didn't. Well,
look how
Twitter
long
goes
Twitter
on the ban of Trump and takes Facebook has to follow afterwards, right?
Well, look how long Twitter.
And
I have mixed feelings about.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I have mixed feelings about.
I know.
I don't like Trump, and I'm glad they banned him. But I have, the ACLU didn't agree with it. They're very liberal. Because of the precedents.
Right.
Sometimes free speech becomes the wall that protects. You put the Nazis marching down the street in Illinois, and you go, well, you can't have that. But sometimes the Nazis in Illinois are the wall that protects people whose speech is not so bad but might get banned. You know what I mean? Like it's those people are the wall for the rest of us that shouldn't be censored in any way. So I don't support Nazis, but if they're going to march down the street, it is what it is. I support the right to stand on the sidewalk and say "fuck you." That's how that works. Sure. So I mean, what I want to ask. So, as a because I know what I've seen on my end, but as a Christian and someone that I know there's a lot of pagans and witches and people. I hate. They go on about Christians to the level of paranoia, whereas I've tried to maintain this stance that the best of you is what represents you to me. And it's not always easy to do, but I try to do that. That.
Especially these days.
Given I'm not speaking to my Jesus-y sister because she's, posting about Irish slavery, and my brother is, calling generally a hero. So, I've had my issues, but I don't see them as representing Christianity, really. But there is this recent study that up to 30 or 40. I've seen different numbers, but the last one was 30%. 30% of Republican voters embrace some form of the QAnon conspiracy. I mean, what does that mean for Christianity?
Oh boy. It's two questions with that. Is what does it mean for Christianity and what does it mean for the Republican Party?
Well, isn't there a lot of crossover?
It looks like a church split in both of them, right?
It looks like what?
A church split in both of them. As the terminology we use when the church has division and half of them go off and start something else. It looks like a church split, both for Christianity and for the Republican Party, and Trump's going to push that. That's what he does best, right? Get people to follow him.
I can understand. I can understand that this Republican Party right now. There's some saying, "Oh, we're going to form a non-Trump party," and there's others saying we want to form a separate Trump party, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But it isn't going to happen. Look, it's like when you talked third party. It ain't going to happen. It's not that I don't love the idea. It's just not going to happen. So, I understand the Republicans saying, "Oh, we really don't want to be primaried. So we're going to all go with Trump whether we like him or not." And I get that. Right. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I get the mindset of the fear of them losing their career. What I don't understand is the Christians that believe that redemption is about getting into heaven and not going to hell, and the type of life you lead and the faith you have and the grace of etc. and being saved and, staying on the right path and all of this. And I don't understand those people putting either Q or Trump on the same level of the Trinity. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I can understand the Republicans. Make sense for me, because I don't get it.
Right. Yeah, so Trump. I think Trump has his own factors, but the QAnon has another set of factors, and sometimes the two meet, and sometimes they don't. And when we were talking, starting, I don't know, months ago, maybe a year ago, about the rise of in pagan circles. You're watching witches and various pagans identify with some of these QAnon beliefs, and you call me like pulling your hair out, like, what am I going to do? What's going on? I don't understand this.
I really don't understand that. I understand that.
I don't get it either, and I don't even get it from a Christian perspective. You've got a few things like save the children type of stuff, but anybody can go with that. It doesn't have to be Christians. Save the children movement.
Not what it. But you know what it was. Yeah, but it wasn't.
Was very much.
There was nothing about saving the children in it. In fact, the whole.
No, well, it was all in the the belief that there was this underlying group of people who were in great power, who the whole thing of drinking children's blood and getting your adrenochrome. It went with that whole cabal thinking, and it tends to be that people who already believe in something mystical, magical, or miraculous are going to have to watch themselves in falling into something that is conspiracy theory. Because let's face it, you and I already believe in some things that are a little bit out there, right? It's, we're saying there's something, even if we say it's based on science, it's something that maybe science hasn't discovered yet.
Right.
But we're saying that there's something outside this normal experience of life that we believe can happen. Now, I think it's a great leap to show up at QAnon and with that, put that in your pocket of things. But it's still, there's going to be a tendency that there's going to be those among us who fall into that kind of stuff.
I don't.
And those who don't need to be really careful.
But I've always been very
lead the way to sensible spirituality.
You've known me for almost 25 years, 23 years.
Yeah,
I've always been skeptical, even in my own web of concepts. It took me forever just to accept mediumship. Just things that you're just like, I have to have an experience, or it's somebody else's experience. And if I don't have the experience, it's just something somebody said. Is why Christianity was difficult for me, because of the whole idea of faith. It's like, I'm not good at that. I want to. But with the QAnon, But with the QAnon, you really got to stretch. First of all, where the Save the Children thing, because I had a lot of people. I had people when I deleted the Save the Children, or I commented, how could you not be for saving the children? I was getting hate messages. And I said, first of all, but here's the thing. This, in a nutshell, there's nothing about saving the children in this. And they're like, why? I said, okay, let's take this from the ground. Okay, if they're right, I suppose it is. But so their fundamental basis is that Tom Hanks, Oprah, this is what I'm saying, Lady Gaga, this host of random fucking people from Hollywood and the entertainment industry, and it's always the entertainment industry first. It's like what
I love that Forrest Gump is a part of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and they're all sucking the blood from children in a Washington D.C. pizza parlor basement that doesn't have a basement, and so far one person shot it up and another person tried to burn it down. And here's the thing. To me, as a Capricorn, I follow the money. So I follow the money. if a particular jurisdiction has, let's throw a fake number. We've got $500,000 every year in our budget to fight child trafficking. So if you take that $500,000 and you start chasing Oprah, Tom Hanks, and all these other people that are almost certainly not trafficking children, you have now taken that money out of the budget from the very real issue of child trafficking.
Absolutely.
So if you were going to actually attack real child and human trafficking on Facebook, I'm going to be impressed with you. But if you say, I want to use this $500,000 to go chase Lady Gaga, well, then there's no money left to chase the real monsters. And that is why I say the Save the Children hashtag did anything but actually save children. It advocated allocating the precious few resources that we have for child trafficking and channeling it at fucking Forrest Gump. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? What is it? How is that saving anybody?
Insanity.
Well, it's just so stupid. And the fact that witches, I have a couple people that have gone into this through the because they no longer have the new age. Now they have, the natural path or whatever you call this shit. It's like, we don't want vaccines. We don't want this. It's like, look, I don't care if I grow a second eyeball on the back of my head. There was no way I was not getting both shots of that vaccine. I don't care. If I get an eyeball, I'll figure something out to do with it. And, it'll be heavily made up, but it'll look great. And the thing is that I said to the people, both of these individuals, because one of them I don't think is really into it, but the other one is still sending me videos. And I said, and he makes occult jewelry, and he makes things that are from the Templars, and things that are associated with the so-called Illuminati, that we all heard back in the 80s with Mike Warnke. And so I said to the guy, I said, Tommy has two apples. I opened up the pop-up book, tried to make it simple. I said, this group of people believes that there's a cabal of wealthy entertainment people, and it's usually like something, of course it all starts with the Jews, with Soros, which is just more it's anti-Semitism, and the what do you call it? Because I said the Jews in the last episode, people were trying to find this proof of my being an anti-Semite, and I'm like, I literally had like the super Jews come out, like Melissa Pomerantz and Storm Sestavani coming out defending me. It's like, I went to Brandeis, for heaven's sake. But, anyway, in the adrenochrome, it's just repackaged blood libel. So I said to the guy, I said, look, they believe that there is an Illuminati-based satanic cabal that includes the Illuminati term, and naturally, it's right up there with Warnke in the sense that the idea, though they don't necessarily spout it, but if you dig enough, you will see it, is that it's ultimately run by Satan. So you've got Satan at the top of the corporate pyramid with this Illuminati, with, a cult. They use the word occult, and, it's this worldwide conspiracy. And so one of the people said, well, they don't mention the word witch. And I'm like,
oh my gosh, give me a break.
And Jane had
it's not much of a leap.
Right. And Jane had two oranges,
circle of people.
C-spot run. So like I said, okay, let me put this in the simplest of ways. If these people were to come into real power, do you think that they would put you, who makes occult Templar jewelry, or this other individual who is a very well-known witch, I said, do you think they're going to put you in the category of good Christian patriot or occult Illuminati conspiracy? Because I think if they're looking at a public occult practitioner, they're going to Phil, they'd probably put you in that category. I'm sure they'd put you as like you'd be the false prophet of the book of Revelations or something, and they'd stick you in the same jail cell they'd stick me in. It's just
Sure,
ridiculous.
it'd be like the witch's hammer. You know, there were two people on that list. There were witches and heretics.
Right. So I can at least understand.
One was me and one was you. Right?
I can at least. I don't understand it as much as I understand the Republicans, going for Trump. But I do a little bit understand the Christians in the sense that a lot of the Q narrative is just, it's repackaged Warnicky, which itself was repackaged blood libel. It's always the Rothschild.
It's repackaged from the Protocol of the Elders of Zion.
Well, exactly.
So we're going back to the late 1800s, and we're going to the Nazi Empire.
Right. It's just
pretty
continued
weird stuff, man.
It's just all the same rehash crap, and anybody with any real understanding of Judaic history knows this. Like my friend Melissa,
Right.
She couldn't call in tonight. She's having some plumbing issues. Everybody has the plumbing issues, but she, she is, I call her Super Jew. There's like nothing about it. She's super hardcore. And if it's
Right.
Judaic, she can tell you. So, basically, like, I can sort of understand the Christians who see that sort of Warnicky-esque conspiracy of, the persecuted Christian and, we need to save the world. Where I don't understand it is that they seem to put Trump, like all those people that from the family of, was it Kensinger? I can't remember. It's a congressman, and he voted for the impeachment, and like 20 of his family members sends him this note going, this is unchristian, and Trump may be not perfect, but he's a Christian. Like, you're a minister, you're a pastor. What is Christian about Trump? Can you explain this to me? Because I don't know. I want to try to understand.
I don't have an answer. I just don't. I do not have an answer. And you saw things I was blogging and talking about in dialogue on Facebook, and I was saying this before he was the front runner in the 2016 election.
So was I. We were talking about it
early, and I said, "What on earth?"
Well, originally I thought of voting. I told Brian, I said, I might vote for him. I'll be entertained forever, because I loved his his show. But I'd also spoken about him on a radio show in 2012 in Canada about him saying that Obama wasn't born here. And they just put me on this Canadian talk show. It was, I said there were aliens controlling him through his hair, which is his wig.
So I saw Donald Trump running for president before 2012, and this is where I saw it. There was a Boston real estate expo that was put on by Donald Trump, and so he was the keynote speaker of the final night, the Sunday night. Now, Saturday night had the big name. I think it was Tony. What's his name? Anyway, it was guys like George Foreman, and these people who raised money by buying and selling houses, different things like that. Motivational speakers. It was that kind of stuff. And on the final night when he spoke, first of all, he was the worst speaker of all the professional speakers, until it came to a question and answer time. And then I watched him engage with people one-on-one in a way that was, there was something powerful about it. I noted that.
Well,
but on the same hand, he was talking about Condoleezza Rice and how terrible she was.
God, I love Condoleezza.
In a room full of black. I did too. I wanted Condi for president. So,
I don't agree with all her politics, but I do like her. I would have voted.
Right. Yeah, I think she was fantastic. And it's a room full of black women. They're hemming and hawing. What's he talking about? But when he was doing that, I was looking at this and I was saying, this guy is gunning for president. And so that's got to be 2010, 11, something like that. Maybe even a little earlier. He was already talking like he wanted to run. There was this sense that he was going in that direction. So he's feeling it out while he's talking. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like the worst possible. To me, I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm not anti-socialist either. I'm just, hey, if it works, let's do it. But Trump was like voting for let's take the demons of our capitalism and put them in the White House. Let's take the worst of it. Let's take the selfishness. Let's take the personal vendetta against anybody who gets in my way. Let's take all of that and put it in the White House. And then when somebody said, he started playing the Christian card and playing to those people, offering them a spot.
Wasn't it? There was. I forget
when
he did this.
I thought, wow, you're doing the worst thing possible. You're falling for it.
I don't remember when he did this exactly. Was it? You might remember. Was it during the? If it was during the primary or right afterwards, but it was when he promised to nominate from a list of 21 justices pre-vetted by the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society that I said to you, oh yeah, he's going to get this, because no president before had named names. They'd be like, oh sure, we're going to put pro-life people, whatever. But he actually picked names from a list. Mind you, they didn't exactly turn out to be as conservative as he thought, not even Amy Comey Barrett. And
right.
However,
they're legitimate scholars, that's why.
Right, but I knew right then. But I remember talking to you during all of this, and that my great fear of him was more, because I don't have a single politic. My views are I'm a very much an issue-based voter. So,
right.
Not that I'm a one issue, but I look at each issue and I have my opinion about it. And it isn't like I go to HuffPo or Breitbart and get a list and this is my beliefs. I very much am all over the place. But my more conservative, pro-military, pro-strong America, I'm not America first, but I'm pro. I do think we need to be ready. And, just as my haters never ignore me, America's haters are never going to ignore it. And you do have to be ready. But my greatest fear of him wasn't I knew he was going to be terrible for gays and trans and all these things and people of color. As bad as that was, my greatest fear was that he was going to destabilize our position on the international stage. And not only did he do it, in the last few weeks he did it. I mean, literally, while everybody's talking about the Qs and the Proud Boys, and of course I was too, but my real kick with that insurgency at the Capitol building was not anything to do with that. Literally, the first thought in my head was, by delaying those National Guard for 4 hours, he just sent a message to every motherfucker in the world. Yeah. Other actually dangerous, not these trailer park fatties, calling themselves Proud Boys that couldn't run down, down a hill, never mind up one. Looking at half those people, like they're not going to fight. They're just, maybe they'll cause something. But, you're telling these despots in some of the worst places in the world, well, you don't have to fly a plane into the Trade Center. You can just walk through the front door. Like, that's a very, it's my conservative position.
It's a whole lot easier than you thought to get in.
Well, you've destabilized. And so then both the left and right, I've noticed, both the left and right, left and far right, complained about the huge National Guard presence. And why do they need 20,000, 30,000? And they're going to do this for QAnon. I'm like, well, it may be in part for QAnon, but what it's really about is all those people that just got the message that, yeah, we can just walk in the front door. That, in my opinion, that's what that was about. Now, Storm made a point about Storm Sessivani. He said the reason he got them, was because he positioned himself as anti-abortion. I think that's part of it. It was the social issues of the moment he said he would only nominate from that pre-vetted list of 21 justices vetted by the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society, well, it sent the message, I'm pro-life, I'm, anti-gay, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And I want to ask, take a guess. Let's be a prophet for a second. How many abortions do you think this man's probably paid for? I'm serious. Am I wrong? Like,
yeah.
I mean, the guy's like, you know, his MO is banging hookers and grabbing people by the pussy. You think this dude hasn't paid?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, no.
Yeah.
Don't tell me the guy hasn't paid for a few flushes down the pants. Like, I'm just saying. Like, so for him to come out, I don't think we know what he is other than a populist that tells everyone what they want to hear, as long as it keeps him in some power. Like, I think he's the very epitome of that line from Evita. You know, one moves from left to right. Politics, the art of the possible. You know, it's just, he's whatever he needs to be. You know, and they got to deal with him.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that...
And it's not much else.
I'm really hoping...
He's about himself.
I'm really hoping that the South District of New York, or whatever it is called, you know, now that they got the Supreme Court to give him the taxes, which, you know, that's got to suck, man. Like, what was it? Only Gorsuch was that was a Pennsylvania thing? No, the Gorsuch descended on... Gorsuch was Gorsuch and Clarence Thomas and Alito, they wanted to review the Pennsylvania voting thing. And of course, Amy and Brett Kavanaugh went against that, which had to suck for him. But also, I don't think they didn't really put a vote out there, but when the court allowed the Trump's taxes to be released, like, he's got to be so pissed that these people didn't just bend over. But I mean, you and I have talked about this. When you get on the Supreme...
Oh, he is. He's apoplectic, yeah.
Yeah, but when you get on the Supreme Court, it does change you. I've read that so many times, you know, from so many different people that you get on there.
Something's wrong with you.
Well, there's a gravity to it. It's, you know, it's different than Congress, where Bobart or whatever her name is can start trying to walk in with a gun or acting, you know, that Marjorie Taylor Greene acting stupid. Right. When you have this lifetime...
But I think there's people that don't get changed by the office. And I think Donald Trump is the perfect example of that. You know, people get changed by stepping into the presidency. And
I've read that too.
It was still all about him. Right,
but remember, what makes
you're fired, like he was on TV.
What makes the court different? What makes the high court different is that it's permanent. Like with the presidency, there's certainly more gravity than on the court, but the gravity isn't. But it isn't as long. Like when you get on the high court, you're one of the 9 most powerful people in the world for life. So there is this sort of psychological impact that you now have to realize. And I do think the presidency absolutely changes people. It's why the left isn't so left once they get there, and the right isn't so right once they get there, because you realize you're everybody's president. And on some level, you have to shepherd the whole flock. And of course he never thought about that, because he doesn't think of the flock.
No. He thinks of himself. So I think there's some things that are some similarities between Trump's ability to invoke uprising among QAnon followers and, you know, radical right people like the Proud Boys, and what happened on Facebook with, you know, we're going to do this Q talk, and all of a sudden, you know, I make all these invites and people want to see it, and boom, I get booted off without the opportunity of, you know, as it put it, this is not reversible. You're off and it's not reversible. Fortunately, you know, found somebody on the inside, like you said, find a burner.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't give me credit right out of that. I had to go and give myself the credit for that. I saw that. You didn't.
Yeah.
I was the one that said, Phil, you got to talk to those burner, you know, the what is it, the Burning Man, because it's basically all, you know, it's all
find
these,
burner.
it's
they
all
know
these
people,
upper.
and I knew 2 burners who knew somebody on the inside.
There's all these upper.
But I think there's a similarity between what Trump was doing and kind of invoking this chaos and what Facebook did, and that is, I really think that, you know, what's popularly called the butterfly principle or chaos theory. And chaos theory is based upon this idea that an initial action can have a radical response that then creates like a wave of something larger that follows it, right? And I think the place the chaos theory comes in most evident is places of power and money. So you know, an example is a guy, a mafia don, can wink and people can die, right? A president can sign a piece of paper and thousands of people can be either helped or starved. Somebody can say, I don't want to do anything about that. And an entire ethnic group can nearly be cleansed, right? And so that's like an example of chaos theory. And in effect, what Trump did is he sat in his office and he farted. And when he farted, the stink showed up thousands of miles away among scores of people. It was chaos theory. And he was good at creating it. And Facebook has become so powerful, it's the same kind of thing. They can create an algorithm, and you just say the wrong thing, and you're off, you know. And Facebook is probably dealing with 50,000 of these. People are saying, what did you do? How did I disappear? Right?
Well, you know, I think that it's, much as I hate to quote her because I think she's awful, that Gina Carano, that was just fired there from Disney, I think it was, but, you know, when she was talking about how it became easier for people to round up Jewish people because they got people to hate them first. And I sort of, you know, much as I think she's disgusting, I cancel culture, you know, I think she should have been fired, but I think there should be shelf lives to these sorts of things. But in any event, but I did, when I read that, what she said, my mind went to Facebook immediately and said, well, nowadays you don't convince your neighbor, you know, next door to you, you convince all the people online, and it becomes, there's these left-wing spiritual groups that, like this one on cultural appropriation that basically attacks witchcraft and thinks everybody should give it up because it's a racist religion or whatever they say. You know, and it just, it's ridiculous. They say you can't use tarot cards because it's a Romany thing, which it wasn't even invented by, I mean, there's so much. Right. I mean, let me tell you, I might reserve most of my ire for the kooks on the far right, but never think that I look at these other people with any more respect because it's so ridiculous. You know, it's and those of us that are somewhere in the middle. And while I know that, you know, some of your views, you know, you can be very conservative, but you're still in the middle. You are a sensible person. You know, when you're a sensible person and you're standing here somewhere in the spectrum of the middle, and that pendulum that keeps careening from both extremes, you know, and we're just here trying to have it so it doesn't hit us in the head. You know, that we're all expected to join this cult of politic. You know, and now it's become worse. It's cult of politic and personality here with Trump. It's a dangerous combination. Yeah.
Well, it's not even good politics. You know, and I think for myself, the reason, as soon as I saw that, you know, he was on the Republican ticket and I started talking about it and pointing it out, that this is something we shouldn't follow, is because I think you and I are both we're in a similar situation where I could look at people who are not Christians, or they're just, you know, they're wannabe Christians or Christians in name only, kind of like rhinos. You know, there's Chinos as well, right? There's Christians in name only, and I could, in a sense, go after them. But my power lies in the ability to clean house in my own world, right? Mm-hmm. The outsider's not going to listen to me. But the person who's already listening to me, I can influence them much more strongly. And then when somebody from the outside, you know, comes in, like you come to me and say, do you believe in this QAnon stuff? I'm going, dude, that sucks, and I'm having problems with it. And we commiserate and try and deal with it together. Now what I've just done is I've benefited my own world by giving it a reputation that there's some of us who make sense, right? And you can say, see, I knew there were still Christians who made sense. And then I can talk to you and I can say, look,
I struggle
I've been
with
telling
that.
you guys for decades, there's a lot of really good pagans out there. They're great people.
I mean, you
and you
sort
need
of,
to meet them, you know?
You've set me on. I mean,
And
years
you
ago,
prove
I
that to me,
criticized people.
And I do that to you.
And you've often put me, where I needed to be. It was many years ago. You said, well, do I, when I would bitch about this one of so-and-so Christians, and you'd be like, well, do I hold you accountable for, with this one or that one? And it's a good point. I really struggle to always remind myself to allow the best of something. I don't want witchcraft defined by that weirdo in Michigan that had the 100 dead cats in the freezer, and they took her kids away, and there was poop all over the, and when there's, why do you have these dead cats in a broken freezer? And well, my Wiccan belief, and I have to dispose of them in a sacred manner, which is what's sacred about sticking them in a broken freezer so that everybody can smell it down the street. Do I want that defining? It's. But because of that, well, obviously, just like you, the platform that I have, that I am defining things, makes me dangerous to many people in my own community, especially the pagan, which I'm really not. I get the worst from the pagans. Like, he's a pagan predator, and he's a pagan, and I'm not even a pagan. Like, I don't use the word. And so it's very challenging. Sometimes I don't even. Half the reason I chose warlock was I didn't want to be associated with a lot of the people using the word witch, because I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, oh. So I sympathize when you're a Christian and you have to deal with, what crazy thing is Pat Robertson going to say next? And though I will give him credit, he finally said.
And there's a whole bunch of us, people who walk in these, circles of hanging out with subculture groups and, spending our time outside of our own world. A lot of us are saying, do we want to use, first of all, a lot of them have given up the name evangelical. They've said, yes, I'm what it may have stood for at one time, but I am not evangelical as we know it today. And some of them are going so far as, just call me a Jesus follower. Because
do you use the term evangelical?
Is what we see in the world today, I don't want that. A lot of friends who've done that.
What do you identify as?
I still call myself by those names, in the sense of I think there's still an opportunity to try and turn the semantic battle around, where a Christian can be what it's supposed to be instead of what a lot of people see that it is. Evangelical, I'm less convinced that that's savable. And charismatic and Pentecostal, those have gone down the tubes with the evangelicals, because those are the ones who have been primarily the Trump supporting QAnon. Those are the prophets who are saying Trump is still going to be president.
Oh my God. March 4th can't come soon enough. Well, now they think that's when, like, they keep changing the goalpost. It's like, you people are so delusional. Like, I can't understand.
Yeah, but aren't those isn't that what false prophets have to do? I mean, you must have it in your own circle. Somebody makes a prediction, doesn't happen, so they redefine the prediction, right?
Yes, we do. I can't think of one at the moment.
Yeah.
I can't think of one at the moment, but we do have.
If anything, you learned it from us, man. We've been doing that for so many centuries.
Well, my favorite was Harold Camping with The End of the World. That always changed every 10 minutes. But I just don't get it.
Somewhere I still have one of those signs, that says March 21st?
But where's
May 21st.
Where's the pragmatism? I mean, where's the pragmatism? Like, I get, you have your beliefs. Some people are, fundamentalists about their beliefs. They have very strict, but there's a pragmatism. Like, I use your example so many times that, I don't know where you stand on it now, but many years ago, we had the discussion about it, you were always for legal rights, like civil unions, but at the time, your question was about the definition of the word marriage, and is it being changed in a way that isn't, and I understood. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I understood it. But what it was that I respected the most, you see these interfaith people. It's really easy to go to a UU church and be a pagan and find some socialist, super left, practically atheist Christian that you can commiserate with. That's boring interfaith. Like, it's boring. It's not crossing any real lines. You're not really challenging your beliefs. And but what, regardless of, where you are in the spectrum of marriage equality and how you view the word or whatever, you came to my wedding in 2014. And I used that so often because it's sort of like me. There are times when, years ago, I don't now because I don't live up there, but I would go with family to midnight mass or this, it's a respect for your familial, the traditions of your people and your family and who you grew up with. And you do think, you might go to La Salette or, up in, Massachusetts, I've certainly participated. I mean, when I had a car accident almost 20 years ago and the other guy was in a coma, I knew he was Catholic, so I went to that big shrine of Mary in Revere with Sandra, and did a prayer there. It's to me, it's finding that point of, okay, I don't necessarily see this as my reality, but can I find a point of intersection that it's not about, the belief, but the respect. Where's my sister? She couldn't be bothered because she thought it was in a witch church. Mind you, it's some eccentric millionaire's old castle. But it just really...
It was in a castle, darn it.
I know, but I'm thinking if a fucking Pentecostal minister can show up to my wedding and not my sister, well, who's the Christian? You know what I mean? Yeah,
see, these things ought to be... my friends should be more important than my comfort, right? If I'm uncomfortable going into some place, but my friend...
Well, some might argue that it's not.
And there may be places where there are boundaries that we have, right? But, that's just not one of them. My friendships are more important than my personal comfort. And to that in and of itself is a magical thing. Because it proves something to the people around you. It proves you're real. It proves you care.
Well, it proves you're on the planet with everyone else.
Through thick and thin.
It proves you're on the planet with everyone else. That we're all here. We all have to find some way to coexist. And, nowadays with the left, it's like you have to accept everything. I have to accept. If you don't accept my point of view, then you are an enemy that must be destroyed. It's like, I don't think that way. Okay. I think if you can respect rather than accept, you can respect. I think it was, God, I love my favorite show. Despite the fact that I'm apparently a rabid transphobe, my favorite show is Pose. And, but Billy Porter, I love the way the star says it, is your acceptance and your tolerance are neither desired nor required, but you will respect my humanity. And that's really where I try to come from, and it's like, who are you as a person? Can I see beyond, even with our friendship, it's like, can I look beyond, when I first met you, you say, oh, Pentecostal minister, you go to put it in a box in your head. Okay, this is what this means, and this is what I've learned to define this as. And I try to break outside of that, so sometimes when I see the haters that I have, when they try to put me in this box based on what I said on this day 6 years ago, or what I said on that day 2 years ago, or, was I angry that day and used a few filthy words, or what, and this is the me, and they've got me in the box.
You use filthy words?
Well, guilty as charged. I'm never getting into heaven, God knows. I changed the language. But no, the point is that, they want to box me into this place, and I think we all have the habit of doing that. We see things and we, correlate them to our experiences or ideas or things we've been taught or mistaught, and then put the thing in a box, and so these people, and it's weird to me because I've always thought of myself as, I'm on to the next thing, I'm doing this, I got bored with this, now I'm doing that, and these people want to put me in the box. It gets frustrating because it's not so much that they hate me that bothers me, it's that they don't recognize the fact that I'm an actual person with feelings, and sometimes it does hurt me, or that I have, so much more to me than whatever you saw in that moment, that, it does disappoint me, because there is this sort of push to brand me. I called myself the dime store devil because somebody said, if you went to wish.com and asked for Anton LaVey, you'd get me instead. I'm sort of like some cheap version, apparently. I ran with it. I called myself the dime. I run with it. But, the dimes are devil. But at the end of the day, it's like we're all on this earth. We're all trying to do, hopefully, the right thing. I don't think, obviously, a lot of people do, but you try to hope they will. And I really try to maintain this sense of redemption. I mean, I think it was Penzak that always made fun of my uncanny capacity for forgiveness, but I just I have to believe that
must be why your name's Christian.
Well, I don't know. I have to believe that there's an end of the. I had a discussion with a friend who was talking about this guy that just got out of jail, and he threatened this other friend of mine, and he sounds like a real bad dude. And I was, he's running around friending everybody, and I'm like, I don't want this one around. But and I thought about it, and he said, well, this person can never be in the community. And I sat back and I thought, well, okay, I don't want them in the community now. I certainly don't want to know them. But I thought, but how? If you don't put a shelf life, some of the extreme left are now saying, we don't use the term cancel culture. That's a right-wing thing, which is a lie, because I've seen many leftists use the term canceled many times.
Absolutely.
And then they're changing it to, well, it's really about consequences. No, it's not, because consequences have a shelf life. You know what I mean? Consequences have a shelf life. It's like, I made a horrible comment about rape.
Unless it's the death penalty,
Well, right, but I made a horrible, which most of them leftists don't believe in. I made a horrible comment about rape 7 years ago, and they're going to cancel me forever when they'll do pagan prison ministry and go in and minister a person who's actually raped 5 people. And I don't know how to make, I'm not saying what I said was the right thing. This was years ago. I tried to make it right, that you made the wrong reference or whatever. But I'm thinking, but you're going to go in and give spiritual comfort to this person who raped 5 people, which frankly, I don't have a problem with. I think everybody deserves redemption in their own time. But there must be a shelf life. Maybe there's something Christian about me in that sense, that I do have to believe in redemption. I can't not. And so when I look at the people that will write me off forever, it's like, I don't write. It is so challenging for me to throw anybody away. Part of that's your fault.
Right.
I used to throw people away left and right. I said, Phil, I'm throwing everybody away. Like, how do I, and you said, well, keep them in a certain, the bull is in the pen and not the china shop. And now it's more people throw me away, but it is what it is. I don't write them.
But isn't there something unbelievably beautiful about when there's the turn that once your enemy is now your friend?
Oh, always. It happens so often.
I mean, don't you just kind of scared?
I think there are maybe
that was awesome.
Right. I think there are like 3 people that I don't think when you realize this person's so toxic, this person is so sick in the mind that there's no rationale, and you can't ever hope you can forgive them. But from over there, I forgive you over there. Hi, I forgive you. Across the canyon, you forgive them, but you're over there. But it's incredibly powerful. I think it was Abraham Lincoln said the best way to destroy an enemy is to make them a friend. Many of my friends started out as enemies, or whatever. You can't. Part of magic is transformation. redemption and forgiveness
Absolutely.
is a form of magic
Yeah.
because you are changing the energy around you to something else simply by what you allow your consciousness to shift to. So if you go into this magical, call it what you will, mental prayer, you allow your mind to shift into that mode that, okay, I can let this go and I can forgive you. Well, that creates the magic in the world.
Sure. And that's an incredibly huge part of Christian prayer as well. That it's looked to be something that brings about a transformation in me, rather than just anticipating that, oh God, go get him and do the miracle over there at somebody else. If we're talking about interactions between people, then the miracle happens in me first, right? And when I change, the situation changes. And this is C.S. Lewis's deeper magic, right?
We often see the idea of, especially in Tyler Perry movies, like forgiveness is for yourself. It begins with the transformation begins with you. Once you can let go, then those things no longer own you. And, it's why, once in a while, I try to not dwell on the haters, but once in a while I'll allow it, because in this context, it becomes funny. One of the things I love about Joan Rivers is she could take the most horrific things. I mean, she would joke about the Holocaust. I mean, there's nothing she wouldn't touch. And she would just take it and transform it so that you could process that into something that you can deal with, and that it I don't know. I would rather build bridges than burn them, or at least keep them around. There's people I do sort of say, okay, I need to take a break from you, or, whatever. But generally speaking, I mean, it's funny.
Oh, well, there is a huge difference between forgiveness and trust.
Well, yeah.
Just because I forgive you doesn't mean that I have to I have to give you my wallet, or, trust you with the deepest things in my heart that you won't go gossip about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are two different things, and a lot of people don't recognize that difference today, Well, especially the one who's the abuser.
Well, I mean, when you
well, I forgave you, but I don't trust you.
well, exactly. If you're going to steal from me or do something, then I can forgive you, but over the canyon. Forgive you. You know what I mean? Echo.
I'm still going to lock you out of the house.
I really wish I had, they briefly added in a firmware update to my Rodecaster, which is, by the way, the most amazing podcast thing ever invented. And they briefly added reverb, and then they took it away. And I was like, oh, God, I was going to be able to sing and actually have reverb, or I could do my whole canyon. Oh, you're forgiven. But it's interesting, we're talking about this because right as we're talking about this, someone I had to take a break from, because they kind of listened to some stories and decided to have an opinion about me, just sent me this lengthy apology in a text. So sometimes you just wait and you realize they're going to come around, and the key there, to me, the key with that is grace. To be gracious, and Eric Fraze, in Salem, there, once asked me, he goes, is there no unforgivable sin with you? I said, well, when I see it, I'll let you know. It is hard. I mean, just with my mother's, rapist, beater, abuser, ex-husband, like at one point, his family came around, and I had half of them on the Facebook, and I'm, I got to be great, I'm going to do that. And I really did well for a while, but then they started posting about him and saying all these wonderful things, and I just had to delete them all. And it was nothing personal. I didn't hate them, but, you just don't want to see nice things said about the person that raped your mother. It was a challenge for me, and even then I had to ask myself, am I doing the right thing? Am I being fair to these people? They are his family. They are, and you have those internal questions because you want to do the right thing, but you also sometimes have to do the right thing for you. and be like, okay,
yeah.
this is.
But I think the moment we stop asking those questions, when you do something hard that pushes somebody away or borders on something that looks like you're taking actions against them. The moment we stop questioning ourselves when we do that kind of stuff, we're in trouble. It's not that we should never do it, but we should always question ourselves. Did I do it right? Did I need to do this? Or did I not? So I never approach those things like they're easy. I approach them with fear and trembling. I had a Kierkegaardian kind of thing going on inside me.
I had to uninvite somebody to WitchCon because, there was mounting evidence that there were some really bad things going on with women, and it's really challenging because I didn't have a lot of evidence. I had very scant evidence. I had some, but very little. And it was the hardest thing because it's like I don't want to pigeonhole. I mean, it took me several people before I took the Cosby thing seriously because not because I can't just believe the woman or believe the man or believe anybody right out of the gate. It's very challenging for me because I've been lied about so many times. I mean, they called me a child molester in 2002 in Salem. They've called me a murderer. People said I murdered Sean. I've heard so many things about me that it makes it really, really hard.
Oh my gosh.
No, it makes it really hard to just believe the thing about someone else. Now, I don't want you to go, but do you mind if I take some callers in and you can be part of it?
I do have to go. I got to get back to Mom. I'm taking care of Mom here.
I'm looking forward
she's
to
got dementia.
The pod. Now, where do they go for your podcast next week? Your personal Facebook?
Yeah, my personal Facebook profile.
And what is the URL? That's facebook.com/
Phil Wyman.
PHILWYMAN, and there's no dash or slash or space or. Okay.
Nope.
So it's
Facebook.
Just
Phil Wyman.
Well, because we're going to continue.
It'll be on the profile at 1:00. It will stay there, so you'll be able to find it afterwards. I'll also put it onto YouTube.
What's your YouTube?
I have a YouTube channel under my name.
So YouTube.com/ Phil Wyman.
Right. And then I'll also put it onto Podbean.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be an ongoing podcast.
Before you go, because I know you have a book. I have yet to read it. I know I'm a bad friend. And it's
what? Burning Religion.
I'm terrible.
Is one book. That's isn't that a great title? And it's the first part of what will be eventually be a 3-part series on carnival religion, carnival as power within religion. I'm working on the second part, but then I also have my work on American kind of an anthropology of American neo-paganism from a Christian perspective, witches are real people too.
I think that apparently had to reload this page. I think that, like I've told other people who do the kind of work you do, it's extremely important what you're doing because it's helping people to understand witches and magical people in a way we've been looked at, whether it's witches or Aboriginal, Native people. There's been this missionary hatred towards people in those worlds, and not a lot of understanding. So I think what you do in that realm continues to be so important. It's why I told Jason Mankey. Unfortunately, he kind of resigned from being the editor of Pathos, and he has other things he wants to focus on. But I just always said to him, I said, it's so a lot of pagans criticized him because Jay Sekulow is on the board of directors of BeliefNet or whatever it is, and I said, look, this is bigger, like that someone magical and pagan is sitting on those steps is a lot more important than meeting the Christian at the local UU church that probably shares your politics. So the work,
absolutely.
I don't get a chance to do a lot of that work, but never let it be thought that I don't appreciate people like you and Jason and Angie Buchanan and, Andres Corbin, Phyllis Curot. There's a lot of you out there, John Moorhead.
Sure.
That
absolutely.
do and that take that time to build the bridges, because I think it's necessary. So I will see
there's
you.
Not enough of us though, because there's more noisy screamers than there are people
that's why we need to strategize, and we need to figure out how to get your book into the hands of major publishers, like get an agent and actually become, I realize that most of y'all, with the respect for yourself, don't want to be the whore that I am. But what I am saying is that, there's a way to respectfully strategize your platform so that more people see it, so that you become the voice. Why do you think they hate me so much? Because I've become a voice, and they can't get rid of it. It's like the mole that creeps up and she keeps coming back. Cher, she just somehow, there she is again. So I will, and we're going to talk about that more. Thank you so much.
Hey,
and,
it's so good coming on and talking with you.
Absolutely.
So I will catch you later, and we'll do that podcast next Tuesday.
Awesome.
1:00. My Facebook page.
Yep. Facebook.com/.
Yeah, we'll talk about QAnon crazies.
Awesome.
Okay,
Have a great night. Love you back.
Bye.
See if I can drop this correctly. All right. So the number to call in, and I've got some people in the calls here. So we're going to start taking some other calls. I might run a little late if we get into the talk. I just, when Phil and I get talking, we can go on for hours. And, we have a lot of different views, and some of them are similar and some of them are not. But he's just one of the most brilliant intellectuals that I've ever met. We're going to take a call. I believe this is White Hawk Potter. Are you there, White Hawk?
Yes, I am. Hi, Christian. How are you?
Darling, how are you? I hope you enjoyed it. It was a long conversation.
I actually did. I met Pastor Phil a long time ago when I was down over there. And my husband being Anglican and me being witch is kind of fun. But Pastor Phil kind of set him straight on a few things. So he's such a humanitarian. And he's so kind and accepting that I had problems major with these QAnon witches being able to stay on Facebook, yet Phil got knocked off.
QAnons, you got Nazis on there. There's people that are denying the Holocaust on Facebook, and they're not getting to it. Melissa Pomerantz was sending me some of the worst things I'd ever seen. And I'm thinking, they threw him off and not this? Oh, it's terrible.
It was just outrageous to me.
Well, look at all the things they used to let French Fry get away with, and they never said. Like, I can't believe some of the things they allow on me. And that they ban.
And, that's one point that just grated my nerves. And then the Save the Children Foundation, that all these QAnon people were so into.
Well, wait. The Save the Children Foundation is actually a real charity that does good things. But then the QAnons hijacked the hashtag Save the Children. And so then they changed it to Save Our Children, because they were getting flack from the Save the Children Foundation, which is a real thing that does good work. Which
is funny that you say that they do good work, because quite a few years ago, the Save the Children Fund came under a lot of criticism and complaints because only a certain percentage of the money, and it was a very low percentage.
Well, I don't know that, but my point is they're not like they're not out there trying to chase Lady Gaga around. Is what I'm saying. They're not the same. They're a charity.
Yeah.
I mean, I get Sally Struthers is probably eating all the kids, but
yeah. Speaking of eating kids, yeah. And witches being in QAnon, Christian witches, I don't get any of that. I find it the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard.
Oh, definitely. Listen, I'm going to try to take another, because I got a string of callers coming in, but I do want to thank you for waiting in. And no, I agree with you, and I think that we really have to start counterbalancing all of this with truth. Storm, I still see you in there. I still see Storm. He's supposed to be calling in and giving me the nice forecast there. The nice. It's going to be nice.
I want Pisces.
But thank you, Whitehawk. And I almost dropped me. Hold on.
All right.
My darling. Okay, so she's still in the host queue. I'm still figuring out how this works. Oh, here we go. I believe the person on the phone is Paris. Hi, welcome to Hex Education.
Hello! Holy shit, I actually got a hold of you. How are you today?
I'm very good. How about you?
I got off work, I got pizza in front of me and tea. I'm doing great.
Oh, I want some pizza now. I shouldn't have.
Not good pizza, I'll tell you that much.
It is or it's not?
It's not. It's, what was it? Not Pizza Hut, Domino's. It's Domino's Pizza.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, so my question is, what magical practice fills you with the most joy?
I'm glad you asked that, because
I'm very curious about your actual reaction.
No, I had to think about that, because at first I was going to say my work with the dead, because that's what I wrote the book about, but no. It's standing in the circle with the coven. In standing in the circle. That really is. A lot of people now are all about being solitary, but I have to say, I feel most magically strong and able to conquer whatever comes my way when I'm standing with my fellow priests and priestesses.
Would you say it's a community thing or something else?
No, it's not community, because community, you could be standing with anyone and have community. It's that these are people who bring, one of the reasons that I became Alexandrian, I do love the initiatory tradition. I do feel that it's older than Gardner, psychically. But I also, here's the thing, I'm very about power in my magic. And so when I saw all the people in the Alexandrian, all the old coven members from Alex's coven in the 60s, I was just like, there's a power here. But more importantly, my husband, Brian Kane, is such a great teacher, but he also attracts these people that are powerful. Like every single one of the people that is in this coven brings power to their game. And so when you stand, it's like earlier when I was talking about one of the crazy haters saying that, I pay people to do my magic. I don't need to pay people because I stand in circle. I stand in a magical space. And when I speak that magic, it happens. And so, because I have people, I think, one of them is in the chat there, or she was, Katina. Every one of these people, Sen Elias, he owns Crescent City Conjure and Carrie Ewers and Christine Stevens and, all of the people standing in that space are bringing such magic that, for any of you who have stood in magical spaces where most of the people in the space were a drain, which is almost every coven experience I've ever had, where there's like 2 or 3 people bringing the magic and everybody else is bringing Rice Krispies treats and a casserole. And you sort of feel that fight between the people bringing the magic and the people sucking it out. That doesn't happen with this circle. Like every person in this space brings magic. And so when I stand in it, I feel like it enhances mine. So that's really the greatest joy is in the circle.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a few other questions?
Oh, not at all.
What deities do you find you work with the most, or that you enjoy working with the most?
Sorry, I just hurt my hand. Deities. Well, of course, I love Hecate, Anubis, a lot of the psychopomps. I've developed an affinity for Zeus, Persephone, but also, the gods of the craft, which we know by our own names. And, that sort of the composite of all of them, that divine feminine, divine masculine. And of course, a few old friends, Pazuzu. I have a very, very thousands of year old little head of Pazuzu that comes in handy every once in a while. I think that, deity wise, it varies, but I love, I have altars to Hecate. I have, Marie Laveau I look at as a spirit because she's the spirit of here. And a big part of my magic is the spirit of place. And, so when you connect to the energy of where you live and where you are, well, certainly a big part of that would be Marie Laveau. So I have an altar that, well, I've her on several altars. So, yeah. Well, what are yours?
I work with Santissima Muerte, a lot of the Norse pantheon, very much Freya, a couple angelic deities, some of the Egyptians, more. I'm still trying to figure out my exact relationships. I know who I like, but I'm also trying to figure out exactly at what point it's my personal relationship with them versus my bias to them.
Well, right, and that does make a difference because you can build relationships with certain deities that don't really answer to you for whatever reason. It's like the same as my work with the dead. It's like, if I never make that connection, it doesn't matter how much I like that spirit in life or that deity. If they don't, if they're too busy for you, go somewhere else. I mean, it is interesting. And also it's like, love relationships. It takes time to find the person. I was 43 before I met the love of my life. So, I'm 51 and we're still here. And it's hard to find that person that clicks, and it's very much like that with deities. It's like you might have an affinity for that deity, but maybe they don't have an affinity for you, and so finding that click is a powerful thing, and it sometimes takes time. I'll tell you one, I can't believe I didn't mention her. I think it was when Brian really first decided that I was worthy of initiation was when I went to one of the shrines of Bridget, and I literally got on my knees and was almost in tears because it was just so powerful. In Ireland, there were, and this wasn't one of the known shrines that, you go to in Kildare. It was near the cliffs of Moher, and there was this statue with a ring of stones on the ground, and and all sorts of people putting little offerings. And then there was this little trail to a grotto where there was so many pictures of the dead. And I said, wow, that was all over Ireland. When you go to the so-called fairy trees, for every message to the fairies, there must have been about 30 messages to people's dead loved ones. So in this, you didn't see witch shops all over Ireland. I couldn't find one. But the magic was everywhere anyway. Like, it's almost like they don't need it because the magic's already there everywhere you go.
Thank you. Is there any practice you do that you do solely for the benefit of deity you work with? Like where it becomes more of a job? Sorry.
Well, my work in the circle, absolutely. The worship and the honor of the old gods in the circle is absolutely first about the gods, which was hard for me because I am somewhat self-serving. It was difficult for me to come off of that, sort of power trip I'm sometimes on because I do love my fancies and lovely things, and caviar and what have you. So, yes, my magic can be self-serving, but it is humbling to stand in space where it's about something higher than you first and foremost.
Thank you. 4 more questions, then I'll let you go. What
Okay.
about WitchCon fills you with the most pride and joy?
Did you write all these down in advance?
Yes, I did.
Oh, there you go.
I am that kind of Cappy.
A fellow Cappy. The thing that fills me the most with joy with WitchCon, and by the way, people, if you do want to call in, the number is 608 Warlock, because I'm probably going to run a half hour late or so if people do want to call in. The thing about WitchCon is its internationality. Like when I decided to create it, which really came out of some people of color that I know were heavily harassed for being at Hex Fest in July, and one of them was really bullied to the point of just tears, and I was so angry. I could have dropped this woman off the cliffs of Moher. You know, she's over in Ireland, Laura O'Brien. And by the way, for the people wanting the hot goss, she is being so dragged in that Seems Like Your Spirituality is Cultural Appropriation group, which I can't stand these people in the group. They're all like real crazy, but they are dragging her to hell because she's not condemning Wicca. You know, I don't really think that's fair, but I do love seeing her drag to hell. She's such a horrible person. But when she did this, I said, you know, I'm going to create this WitchCon. I said, and let's see how they bully 75 presenters, and now I've got 99, so, you know. And what I decided to do, is your name Paris? Paris.
Yes.
Is I decided to say, I said, what if you created an event for the online space that was designed for the online space? What could make it, what would the internet bring that you wouldn't get at a physical festival? And the immediate thing that came to mind was, you could have, as long as they've got fast fucking internet, they can present wherever they are in the world. So we've got people from Brazil, we've got someone from Bulgaria, you know, Italy, Australia, the UK, all over the world. We have people, you know, that are coming to this event and speaking and coming to watch the event from all over the world. And so I created this spectacular thing, if I do say so myself, and I say it only because it was so fucking hard, and I had to fire an actual programmer who couldn't figure it out, and I still managed to cobble the thing together. And the schedule so when you go to the schedule, the little header at the top says wherever you are. So if you're in my area, it says March 5th to 7th, but if you're in Australia, it'll say 6th to 8th. You know, and it tailors the whole time zone to you. And so you really feel like this is geared. No, obviously, if you're in some of these places, you're going to be attending events at 4 a.m. There's nothing I can do about that if you're going to see them live. But what's wonderful is it's tailored to wherever you are. And it allows us to broaden and build our magical web to such a broader spectrum. You know, you're not just seeing the same 10 presenters you see at every Pagan Pride. You know, it's not the same 5 headliners that are at all the things. You're really, you know, touching base with, you know, like Giulia Tarola in Modena, Italy. Like, what an interesting presenter. She makes the most beautiful drums. You know, people that are, like, you don't see at everything. You know, and that so that really is the thing that brings the greatest joy. Someone actually asked on the thing, am I going to attend any of the classes? I mean, I know I will, but I'm not going to know till the day of, because I know I'm going to be so busy. And if there's any technical issues, you know, we've got a staff of 10 managing everything. You know, I didn't spare no expense. I was like, we got to have enough people to run all these things. But, you know, I have a feeling I may be called upon for technical issues, but I'm hoping to see all of them at some point, you know, whether they're live or not live. You know, my number one, and I'm so biased, but my number one class that I'm going to attend is Miss Lori Cabot, teaching about the science of witchcraft, because she's Lori Cabot and she's my first teacher, and everything she says is amazing. That's where I'm going to be. What were your other questions?
What has stressed you what has stressed you out the most about doing WitchCon?
Worrying if the technology is going to fail, which is why I capped it at 1,000 people, because I was so afraid that if there's too many people on their servers, it'll break the servers. And even though I know they do big things, I've never personally done one, and so I'm sort of, it was a arbitrary, easy. 1,000. Let's cap it there, so that I know I'm not overstressing their system, which also means you better get your tickets if you ain't got them yet, because we are more than or just about halfway, which might be misleading because how are they going to do this? But every day the ticket sales are bigger per day. And I think the last week, the last few days, you're going to see a huge bunch of people that waited till the last minute because they didn't know if they were going to have money or they'd have the time, or, because it's online and you don't have to buy a flight, everybody can go last minute. So I'm thinking we're going to hit that 1,000. I mean, we may not, but, we're definitely on track to. And I think that it's mind-blowing. I had no idea it was going to be this much of a hit, but we're at about 500 people. I think it might maybe a little more. So it's really great. But I also worry about it's the technology. I always worry about the technology. People found errors in my little time zone thing, and I spent 2 days of no sleep fixing it. What's your other question?
What do you most look forward to doing in your magical practice? I know that's kind of like similar, but a little bit different.
Like in general?
Yeah, because you already said the circle. So what makes you happy when you go into your practice? Like a list of things, or like...
Well, I'm a Capricorn. My career, mostly. I mean, I have love. I have a wonderful marriage. I have good friends. So, I tend to be the typical Capricorn, and I'm like, I'm going to go for the career, I'm always trying to expand something. If Brian had let me, I would have taken one of those spaces showing up on Royal Street, There were spaces coming up in New Orleans from Royal Street that you would never see on Craigslist, and yet they showed up because of the COVID thing. And it's like, I could just so grab one of these and open another store. But yeah, my career.
Okay, my last question. How into astrology are you, and how much does it go into your practice?
Well, I've always used planetary magic because Laurie Cabot teaches it very strongly. So, like the color blue for Jupiter and, that sort of thing. And the Key of Solomon, as far as, I love planetary hours. I didn't used to use them as much because you had to sit there and calculate it, which I used the 7-pointed star for. But what was I going to say? Now that there's an app, it's easier. I try to at least do the day, but since we always meet in the coven on Tuesdays, I usually just do Tuesday more than I do, planetary hour. Astrology is I've never been very good at it. And so my hope is once I finish laying out Levi Rowland's upcoming book, The Art Cosmic, The Magic of Traditional Astrology, available for pre-order on hexwitch.com. Ting! And, obviously laying it out, I've been reading things along the way, and I'm like, I didn't know this, because it's my brain doesn't wrap well around astrology, but he's written such a wonderful book that when I'm done with the layout of it, I'm going to dig into it. And I recommend people get it, and the Kindle should be on pre-order within the next few days. And Neon Cicada asks, how much are the WitchCon tickets? $95, and we have, I think right now we're at 99 presenters. I might stick someone in a slot, but because we had somebody that couldn't make it. But, even if there's 99, it's like, where are you going to get that? You've never seen anything like that. But thank you so much for calling in, Paris. We're going to try to take some more calls.
Thank you, and I'm happy to be one of your 1,000.
Thank you for your... I'm so glad to see you there. And let me see here. All right. I'm not sure what this... I have a thing that's like a screener where they can talk, and I don't really know what this means. So I'm going to say area code 315, you're on the air.
Hello, Christian.
Oh.
It is now the hour of Jupiter.
It says warm. What is warm, my sister?
Warm?
Well, it said auto screen when it asked you for your text.
Yeah.
It said warm, my sister. Like, I don't know what you actually said.
I'm here with the nice astrology.
Oh.
So I have no clue.
So
but
what?
We're now in the hour of Jupiter, so
what's
at
the
least here in New
what's
York,
the cunt
so
cast?
You get the niceness.
Oh, so he's gonna be
We
nice.
just changed a minute ago.
I want the cunt cast.
You do?
Like, what's making people
you're going to
so...
probably think it is after I get done reading it, Christian, because the energy of the next week is not tailor-made towards you.
Is it ever?
Well, first of all, tomorrow Venus is going to move out of Aquarius and it's going to move into Pisces. Now, Venus is about relationships, and Pisces is the kind of the collective sea that we all sprung out of, and it's a sign that's very much associated with healing and healing work. So for most people, that this is going to be a great time for breaking free of dysfunctional relationships and doing inventory on themselves. And with the difficulty with Venus and Pisces is that it's very easy to get sucked into emotional connections and view relationship issues in a very idealistic way. So people are going to have to, really try to keep it real rather than, thinking to themselves, oh, I love him so much, I should stay in this. He's a hurting soul, and kind of look at things from that perspective. If a relationship is not working while Venus is in Pisces, the best thing to do is to end it and move on to something bigger and better. Now, this is where you're going to hate life. We have a full moon that's going to happen on Saturday in the sign of Virgo. Now, in astrological magic, of course, from what I understand of witchcraft, they use the new moon to start things, and of course the full moon to bring things to a culmination. In astrological magic, you use the first 2 weeks after the black moon, which is the dark of the new moon. You use the first 2 weeks to build something, okay, and then the second 2 weeks you use to let things go, okay, to release those particular energies. Now, with this being a full moon in Virgo, I can already see you're probably going to stab a small child or something. The next 2 weeks is about our habits, our rituals, things that you want to change in your daily schedule. It's great to begin diets, improving your health, and starting an exercise program. All of these wonderful little things are going to be available for you, Kristen, and I'm so excited for you. It's also a good time to begin the process of looking for a new job if you want a new job. So if you're tired of your old job and you want something new, it's a great time to begin one.
Yeah, but I never replace my jobs. I just add them.
I'm talking about the general public. You just need to work out. So I'm going to send you a text later from BobbyBeach.com. And you can sign up for a free week trial and you can do exercises next week.
Oh, no, I'm doing it with that Oculus Quest. I'm going to sign up for the exercise program where you use sabers and random exercise coaches show up on the desert, when you're in the middle of the desert going, woo, and you got the headset on. And
so what are you going to do if Susan Powter shows up?
My God, I love Susan Powter. We need to bring her back.
Well, she's into our stuff.
No, we need to start the insanity. Like, we need to bring her back. She probably looks the same. I bet she looks the same.
She still looks exactly the same.
That's what I'm saying. She probably looks exactly the same, like a wax figure from like Madame Tussauds.
Well, interestingly, she's now got the short hair again, but she did have for a long time these long blonde dreadlocks.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And it was like kind of groovy. But, I think she would be like the perfect co-host for you.
She wouldn't let me eat.
That's why she would be the perfect co-host for you. But anyways, with this full moon, Kristen, I'm very excited. You're going to be able to start a new exercise program, get yourself on a stabilized diet, quit eating McDonald's, quit eating all this delivery sent stuff, maybe order you some meals from one of these meal services that deliver it to you.
Because the
There's several
keto
now
ones,
that are very good.
I have to be. I can't be vegan. I have to be keto because of my diabetes. So like the choices
There's
are not.
many keto programs also.
Oh, yeah, but there's not many. It's like you go and look at, what is it? Factor is one of those meals. It's called Factor.
There's Diets to Go.
Right, but Factor had like 5 keto things. It's like, how long are you going to live on that?
Check out Diet to Go. There's stuff. They have a keto program.
Diet to Go. Okay.
And they have like pizza.
I'm going to look at Diet to. Is it Diets or Diet?
Diet with a T to go.com.
Oh, here we go. Diet to Go. Oh, Jesus
I'll go over
Christ.
here with you, just so that we can
I'm peeking
look
at
at this together, and I can encourage you. Okay, they have menus at the top, okay? And then one of them is Keto Carb 30. Now, they have a sample menu for you to look at even.
All right, I'm going to it. From your kitchen, balance, hold on. Balance diabetes. Well, that's what I really need, so let me look at that. Breakfast, egg and cheese breakfast sandwich, cinnamon walnut cereal. Oh, there's some good things in there. How can I eat waffles? That's not like...
Because they use probably almond flour rather than white flour.
Oh.
Where did you get this whole idea that the only way that you can be on a diet is to be on keto?
Well, maybe I'll look into this diet thing. I don't...
And then there's, of course, they do have a keto option if you're insistent upon that keto stuff. But this is all that I'm going to say about keto. Putting all that fat through your body never sounded like anything that would be good to me. Now, next week, the beginning of the week, I'm only going to Wednesday, by the way. The beginning of the week, the moon is in Libra. It's a great time for you to do business partnerships, also to initiate legal matters. But be careful on Tuesday because the moon is going to square Pluto, and intense emotional energies may surface, especially in relationships. Also, avoid being reactive. Now, I know that's going to be a challenge for you, Christian, and you're just going to have to handcuff yourself. And be proactive when dealing with other people. And that's the nice astrology forecast for the week.
Well, now that we've had nice, we're...
Oh, and one other thing. The month of March, there's only one difficult aspect in the whole month, and it's going to be the best month out of the year, so people need to enjoy it while they can, because April, the storm is going to hit once again.
I'm really sick of this. You know, last March was the busiest month, sales-wise, that we'd ever had at Hex New Orleans. We blew over 100,000. And, you know, of course now, you know, with COVID, good luck hitting a third of that. If you know what I mean? It's just so depressing. When's that all going to end? What do the stars say?
Well, Jupiter, the difficulty where all of the COVID started to amplify was last year we did have Saturn conjunct Pluto, which is a huge aspect that only happens once every 40 years. And the feeling of that particular aspect is a very oppressive, lonely, stuck in the house kind of feeling on its own, okay? So it's kind of interesting that that kind of manifested for many people, and it's still going on for many people. Jupiter got involved with that particular conjunction, and in April, when Jupiter conjoined Pluto, was when the beginning of the first wave struck in New York City, in the huge, massive wave, okay? In July, it happened again, and that's when the huge wave happened in Florida and Texas and California. And then, of course, it happened again in the fall. And, of course, you know, the resurgence in the East Coast. And I believe you were, New Orleans got hit during the first one. I believe they got hit during the second one pretty heavily as well. New Orleans, when you do astrocartography, which is where you draw a map and lay the planets on top of them, New Orleans has been on a Pluto line for all of last year, which is why it was such a difficult situation that was going on in New Orleans, and it's also why you had more hurricanes in the state of Louisiana, I think, than ever.
Surprised I didn't get swept away.
Jupiter is now in Aquarius with Saturn, and Jupiter is considered not in dignity, okay, which means he's not strong. Now, that's going to change, first of all, in May,
Zeus.
and Jupiter's going to move into Pisces, his own sign.
Zeus. We need to get him some energy there, because he likes me.
You're trying to get Jupiter?
Well, Zeus is Jupiter.
Who are you muttering to?
My ring. I have my ring here.
Your wings?
My Jupiter ring. My man. My main squeeze.
Okay.
Zeus. He did me a
I thought you
solid.
were talking about chicken wings for a minute. I thought you were ordering chicken wings that you would have the audacity to order chicken wings while you're on a call with me. I would just remember I have Libra rising and we tend to be serial killers. So anyways, now I can see your ring on the screen. You're a little delayed. But anyway, so Jupiter is going to move into Pisces in May. Okay, it's its own sign. I think we'll begin to see the beginning of the relief then. But Jupiter then is going to go retrograde and it's going to go back into Aquarius. And then in the fall, it's going to move fully into Pisces over the period of the next year, where Jupiter will be highly dignified and very, very strong, okay? And as you know, Jupiter is a very protective planet. My feeling here is that that's going to help us out enormously in regards to, like, vaccines and also booster shots for the mutations. They got a brand new mutation that is actually one that started in New York that was found yesterday, I believe, or they're reporting about it yesterday. And this particular mutation seems to bypass the immune system entirely. So,
what does that mean?
God knows. I am now convinced that an extinction level event is not going to be a meteor. It's going to be some crazy virus somewhere.
Well, what do you mean? So what about my vaccine?
You'll end up having to go get a booster shot eventually.
I don't want to go on vacation. I'm going to go to Mexico.
You are not going on vacation anytime in the
I want to go to the Mayakoba where I can have a fake.
To practice radical acceptance.
No, I want to go to that fake plastic shaman they have at the Mayakoba Rosewood Resort, where you just know it's not a real shaman, but it's going to look great and the incense will smell amazing, and you're going to have a wonderful massage and swim in a cenote. I'm just like, I can't take it anymore.
Have you ever thought about going to South America to see John of God?
Who?
This John of God healer.
I've never heard of him. I'm of God.
John of God, yeah, that's his name. He's this proclaimed healer in South America, and
Christ,
I thought you would be like the person to go down there and cancel him.
Are you serious? I have always wanted to go to Machu Picchu, but I don't think I could do the hike because of the spiders and creepy things would bother me. But
yeah.
I just want to like sort of fly in and be like,
well, Shirley MacLaine loved it, so I mean, if it was good enough for Shirley, it's good enough for you.
Shirley MacLaine sort of jumped the shark when she went on the Tonight Show and was pasting paper circles on herself to represent the chakras.
Okay.
Yeti.
Do you know how many people that she converted to the New Age movement?
I know.
All of us owe a huge debt to Shirley MacLaine.
I get it. Yes, I know.
You right now would probably be a successful advertising agent in
No. Lori Cabot was into what she was into before Shirley MacLaine, and she defined Salem. So no. I'm in a different category than that because of Salem. Like I probably would have been.
Yeah, but she brought the Muggles in.
I would have been.
Shirley brought all the Muggles.
Oh, Lori Cabot has always brought the Muggles in. That's her biggest audience. You know, she would have sucked me in eventually.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, thank you for your forecast. I've got one more
You're
caller.
welcome. Are you going to order you some diet food?
I don't know. Somebody said...
And are you going to start moving your body? Or are you going to let put that huge, gigantic life insurance policy on you?
Yeah. I don't know. Thank you.
Try to walk at least 15 minutes a day next week. Will you
Where?
do that?
All they got around here is potholes.
Oh, my God. Walk in your house.
I'm going to walk tomorrow. I got this giant wok that I can cook outside with. I'm going to make something.
I said walk, not walk.
Walk. I'm going to walk.
Walk has an L in it, Christian, not
Walking in New Orleans.
All right, I'm getting off of here.
Bye. Thank you for the Oh wait, where can they find you? StormSestivani.com. Where can they find you? StormSestivani.com. How do you spell it?
They can find Storm STORM Sestivani CESTAVANI.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Astro Gossip.
Astro Gossip.
Yeah.
All right.
I talk about birds.
Well,
the planets are my cousin.
Storm is an amazing astrologer that you should all go to get your chart done, because he's just completely badass, and he knows what's up. And thank you, my dear. We will see you next week.
Have a great night.
You too. And now we're gonna darken the mood just a bit for our last caller here.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Oh yeah. Hey, hold on.
The point is, in this whole wide wicked world, the only thing you have to be afraid of is me.
Hello, Michael Carell, WitchCon presenter extraordinaire.
Oh, I was so hoping that was my intro. Oh, that was Art.
I did want to answer a quick question from the screen, though. Nina Alvarez says, for the WitchCon, do we pick and choose the classes we want to take? So, yes, you'll go to the schedule, and as far as what you want to see live, you will pick, there are 7 rooms, each named for the planets. And as best as we could, we kept each subject to its appropriate planet. So if it was psychic related, we'd put it in, the moon. Oh God, what do we call these things? The moon room. No, it's like the moon. They all have names. Now I can't remember the names. Hold on, I gotta look at the names. I'm getting old here. So we have the Sun Solarium, the Moon Garden, the Mars Chamber, the Mercury Atrium, the Jupiter Conservatory, the Venus Parlor, and the Saturn Library. So each of the classes we try to tailor to those rooms. And so when it comes to live, and you want to pick the classes you want to attend live based on interaction with the presenters giving them. So if people ask, well, which classes should I attend? Well, which are the classes that you most have questions for the presenter? So that, you put the questions in the Q&A box. The assistant for each of the people in the Q&A, the assistant tells the presenter, there's a question from Sally in Michigan, and she wants to know blah, blah, blah. And that's what you want to attend live. As far as the classes as a whole, you have them as long as Crowdcast exists. And so if you are a WitchCon attendee, you can watch all the classes you want to see live, and then you can go back and watch all the rest of them and rewatch everything. So you can rewatch the ones you saw live, so you don't have to take notes, because you can go back and you can look at all of those again. And someone asked, is this the same Uncle Birch as the YouTube channel? Yes. And Kevin mentioned we also have the virtual virtual Vendorium, which is very important, because for any of you that have attended a live sale, like Sandra Mariah Wright does her live sale crystals, which are amazing. And she sometimes does the live, we have lives from Hex where, you can actually buy and say, okay, I'm going to Venmo you or PayPal you this money, and you're going to send me, whatever it is. And Kevin, make sure if you didn't already, get those cheat sheets for the vending out to people. I want to make sure they know what to do. So you go into the vending, and each of those people is actually selling live. So you're going to have access to all different kinds of things. and plus an entire occult library of, I don't know exactly, a couple of people had to pull out at the last minute. So, it's like, roughly 98 classes or whatever it is. And, what was I going to say? So you can literally have this entire occult video library for $95 that you can watch to your heart's content. Every year there'll be a new 100 classes. So this, we're hoping this becomes the biggest online festival in the world. I can't believe I just said that. We already are the biggest online festival. No one has ever done. Well, I set about to do this because that ghastly Laura O'Brien, threw down the gauntlet of cunt. And I was like, oh, you want to harass my 14 presenters? I noticed they don't harass you. And, they want to harass the presenter. And so, well, what are they going to do? And I said, what do they do with 75? And then I boosted it to almost 100. And so, it literally no one has ever done this. And I'm talking about, because it's next year, it's President's Day weekend, which has a Monday holiday, at least for America, not for everywhere else. And I may do the Monday, which then brings it to 150 presenters. Just in case anybody's thinking.
PantheonCon's not around anymore. Why the fuck not?
Well, that's why I'm doing it. Well, no, there's going to be this weird.
I know that's why you're doing it.
There is going to be this weird. What is it? But can I just say, for those that really understand the veil of the world, like, where is this foyer between the worlds? Like, I really don't understand. This festival that is taking PantheonCon's place someday. They're apparently doing an online thing in May, but next year it's going to be President's Day weekend. And
you mean between the veils?
Yeah, between the veils.
That's not a thing.
It was originally called between. It was originally called.
That's the craft thing.
It was originally called Between Two Veils, and I still don't understand what that is. It's like purgatory, like there's this side of the veil and that side of the veil.
Somebody heard a craft concept once upon a time and fucked it up is what happened. It's beyond the veils, behind the veil. There's no between the fucking veils. I don't know where anybody came up with this crap.
But anyway, they're doing something, and basically they are the worst components that made up PantheonCon. Like, you take the most uptight, bigoted, anti-Semitic, left-wing, freakazoid, fucking communist. I hate everybody that isn't from the island of misfit toys and on, fibromyalgia welfare, something or another. And, just the loser brigade of all time. The very worst things of PantheonCon, and then took it and put it into this new thing. And it's like, so... Of course I'm being a cunt. I'm like, okay, so now we're going to, the presenters that are asked to present next year, they now have to sit and think, do I go and basically perform for free at this between the two of the seven veils or whatever it is? And, maybe they'll give them some sort of stipend, though I doubt it. And so am I going to go present at this, retard fest? Or am I going to go hang out with the actual cool people who are not only the island of misfit toys, but the island of cool people? And, we come one, come all. You know what I mean? We got everybody. Yeah. And so, I absolutely did it that way because I knew that it would separate the wheat from the chaff. I'm going to get people going, well, I'm really committed because I want to go and be part of the Bay Area pagan extravaganza hootenanny of hell. And I'm like, good, you go be with those people.
Unfortunately, we used to have to hang out with those people.
Oh, yeah. How? Oh, I remember the vendors. I used to have
my colleagues once upon a time when I was in Santa Cruz.
I went looking through the vendors. In like the vendors, it's like they had this one lady that was all, I'm all for fat positive, but do it right. It was this, clothing for big babes, and you look at it and it's nothing anybody of any size would ever want to wear. You know what I mean? It's like, no solids. Why is it why is it all these weirdos that make clothes for fat people have to have the worst? Like, do you ever see me in? I'm not a skinny mini. I don't look like a ballooned creature because you don't see me wearing all these fucking patterns. Like, I don't understand. The bigger it is, the less you want a pattern on it. So, like, but literally, you go and you look at the thing, and the vendor's got, you know, all these sundresses made out of obviously flimsy and chintzy fabric with just way too much going on. And it's like...
See, that's the magic that you gay guys possess.
The fuck
I don't understand that, but it's funny. I understand that it's funny.
Who wears that shit? Oh, and she's popular. Like, I saw her being, you know, when they commented about this particular vendor on the P-Con group, because I got socks and all these groups, you know, like, oh, she's so wonderful, I love her clothes. And I'm like, where would you fucking wear that? Like, I want to know where you wear that, who wears it. Like, did they ever watch Drop Dead Diva? Like, remember, what the hell's her name? It was such a great show. I can't remember the actress's name, but she's great. And basically, she plays this former beauty queen who dies, and her soul ends up in the body of this fat chick. And so basically, she's wearing like the coolest, like she basically everything looked great on her. Like, and she gained weight during the show, and she still looked great because she always had just her outfits were so tailored to her. Oh, what is her name? Yeah. Hold on, I gotta like Drop Dead Diva. No, I loved that show. I was addicted to it. She's on another show too. Brooke Elliott. Brooke Elliott. She's on some other show, but just like everything she wears, and lots of solids. Everything she wears. Not Kirstie Alley wouldn't know how to dress her way out of a paper bag. No, her name's Brooke Elliott. And she's in, what is it, another show, Sweet Magnolias. I don't know if it's canceled, you know, because of the COVID. Oh, no, it was renewed, so it's going to be coming out again. No, Brooke Elliott's amazing. And she knows how to dress for her size. And there's nothing that looks like one of those fucking plastic placemats you get at the Christmas tree shop. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand it. There's not everything at that P-Con vending thing. I always wanted to go to P-Con just so I could see the vendors. And when they finally started putting them online, I'm like, why? Like, it's what Sean Poirier used to call loving hands at home. You know, when you go to the church bazaar and, you know, hey, I made a pot holder with my pubic hair. You know, and it's just like, the fuck, who wants to buy that? Just saying. So why do you think they haven't been bothering you like they've been bothering some of the other presenters, especially the people of color, by the way? These racist pigs have been really harassing the presenters of color.
They seem to bother the people, from my tally, people of color, women, people that are teaching
women of color,
much lighter magics than magical warfare, but people that on the outside seem like they might not be able to defend themselves. These are bullies.
Yeah, they don't know these women. They don't know these women of color they're harassing, because that's going to come up and bite them. You know, they don't know. Behind the scenes, they might all be like, oh, they're mean. Yeah, wait till you get them behind the closed doors. They're going to fuck these bullies up.
Yeah, most of those African magics don't have any Wiccan read or any of that shit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Threefold law, none of that crap.
They have fuck 'em up read. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, okay, pick on so-and-so, see where it gets you. You know, it's the nice one. I mean, look at, you know, some of these people you think they're very nice, and, oh, that's an easy one. They're not an easy target. These people are making a big mistake. Yeah. Like, I think, you know, I think the next time Laura O'Brien goes to the cliffs of Moher, she's going to fall off. Can someone videotape? I want to see her going down.
None of them seem to come at me. The guy that's teaching magical warfare, you know, go figure. And somebody, I had somebody on TikTok there say that, oh yeah, somebody said that you teach all your students to just like attack people all the time. It's like, no. That's not warfare. Warfare is, you know, the ultimate of warfare is winning a battle without firing a shot. I don't. teach people to attack. I rarely attack. The techniques that I teach at these festivals, I haven't had to use that many times.
Well, same here.
Maybe because I got a reputation now of a guy that teaches that kind of thing, and you don't want to fuck with him. So that's cool. Whatever works.
Storm Sestivani said I could order pizza. I'm looking at Uber. Look at this. Papa John's. Look at this Papa John's.
Well, I was listening to you with Storm, and he was talking about Pluto, and the way I learned it, Pluto is a planet of transformation. And I use Pluto to feed on my enemies pretty often.
Levi doesn't talk.
Transformation. You seem to have been really successful in that during the COVID things, like the WitchCon, how you pulled off Hex Fest, the Hex Education Network.
It's called desperation.
These are the people that are going to survive this thing. They got innovative and creative. And of course, you're going to do okay. Ooh, the bats are coming. I hear them.
It's called desperation.
Yeah, but hey, it works. When on difficult ground, burn your bridges and destroy your cooking pots so there's no turning back.
Well, hold on. I'm peeking at something. I'm wanting to. Storm's going to hate me because I'm getting Papa John's. I can't help it. There's nothing else open, and we don't have. He doesn't like food in the house because he's afraid he'll eat it. So he doesn't like when I have food around. So I basically have to order it or it doesn't happen. So it is kind of challenging here. Hold on. So I'm going to get, I like pepperoni and mushrooms. Save. We're going to save.
You're still on that pizza from like 3 guests ago.
Picked for you. Create your own. Well, I just did it, but I want to go to go to checkout. I don't want to pick a thing. He'll kill me if I get the brownies. No thanks. Well, no, Brian got mad because I got the brownies, but they're so good. They have like the most amazing brownies at Papa John's. So, anyhow, tip them 30%. You got to make sure they get some. So anyway, where's the best place to get a po' boy in New Orleans? I don't eat them often enough, but there's a place called Nola Po' Boys on Bourbon Street that I always liked, but something tells me they're probably not the best. The ones you want to get are like out somewhere in, one of the neighborhoods, but I've just, I haven't had them often enough to know. But I do like Nola Po' Boys. Those are pretty good on Bourbon Street, but I doubt they're as good as...
It's like every liquor store, every gas station's making them.
Well, that's what I mean. And some of the best... Hey, don't knock the gas station. Some of the fried chicken...
Before we lived here, we used to listen to you talk about gas station chicken. We go, what the fuck is he doing? But then we moved here. It's like, every place has
but nothing.
Service.
You got to go to
gas stations,
Keys Fuel Mart, and they don't
stores.
deliver. Keys Fuel Mart doesn't deliver. So once you get those vaccines, you want to go to the Keys Fuel Mart because they've got some fried chicken that is really tasty. God, have I run over today. So I am super excited about WitchCon because it's innovative. No one's ever done it. Devin Hunter tried and failed.
You cut.
No, he was really mean to my friend who had a WitchCon here in New Orleans, and I asked her because she owned the name, do you care if I use it? And she's like, well, no, but, Devin and Laura were thinking of using it back in January. They asked me about it, and they never did anything with it, so I don't care if you use it. I mean, they might still want to, and I was like, well, they don't own it, you own it. So if they haven't come out with it yet, and he's got me blocked, well, now she's got me blocked, supposedly she wasn't talking about me when she said festivals that fuck her over or whatever, but I do find it hard to believe, given that she wrote this right at the time that Devin was running around, bitching about presenters pushing WitchCon and I'm a bully and I'm a this. And so he started unfriending and unfollowing these people. And it's like, and then Laura, his partner in the event, makes a comment. And it's like, on the events fucking people over, which, whatever. Someone told me, I know for a fact that's not what it was about. And it's like, well, whatever. I know for a fact quite often, and it almost never is a fact. When I hear that term, it's almost always the opposite of fact. But basically, they were all bent out of shape that I got to market first with WitchCon and tried to make people's life hell over it. And, then his boyfriend's Storm Fuckery Wolf there and Chaz, Bogan, whatever his name. They like basically got Shauna Knight started on her latest round of crazy. It doesn't take much, but no, they got her started up because that they didn't want to come for me directly, so they're going to go through her. Let's get the crazy person all whipped up. No, don't think I didn't notice that. But it's like, whatever, dude. You had 5 presenters for $100. I've got almost 100 presenters for $95. What do you think people are going to go to? Not my fault you didn't have the right setup. It's not my fault you can't afford to invest. I knew going into WitchCon that it could conceivably cost me, over 20 grand in expenses to finance, and that if I didn't actually sell the tickets that we've sold, then I would have to pull that money from somewhere else. And a lot of these people don't have that little glass or pottery jar or whatever it is called something else. Here's the something else jar. That's the rainy day fund. You can pull I can afford to do it. I can afford to do 150 next year. We've already been profitable. We're already doing well. We're 500 people, attending. So, 100 of that is the people, like the presenters, but still, was the service to host the workshops expensive? Well, yeah, it is going to cost us an extra $1,000 something to have not the extra, what the hell is it? We can have as many people as we want. Anything over 1,000 is like 15 cents a person. However, I'm capping it at 1,000 because I don't want to overload the servers. The fact that they say anything over 1,000 people is 15 cents a person, anything up to that is free. It's going to be a grand or two more because of the amount of hours we're using. You can only use a certain number of hours on Crowdcast in a month, and we also have the top tier, which is like X number of dollars a month. I don't know, 100 something, I think, maybe 150. I can't remember what it is, what Crowdcast is, but we use it for other things. In fact, we have we have other things going on throughout the year on a smaller scale. But when I saw 1,000 people and 15 cents per person over, that sort of told me 1,000 was sort of their little sweet spot where, we're going to charge you more. Well, is that also going to mean there's more server problems? Which is why that's where I got the 1,000. You know what I mean? It's sort of arbitrary, but at the same time, it does give me pause that if it's a certain amount of money over that maybe that's where it starts to break down. So again, if you haven't gotten your tickets, you seriously should, because I don't know that it's going to sell out, but I think it will. And, next year, obviously, if it does really well next year, this year, if there's no technical problems at 1,000, next year I'll probably, up it to 1,500. I don't know. I'm a little nervous. If I sell 1,000, I'm probably going to have to give people more for I have to give them 200 instead of 150. But in reality,
that's the thing.
What?
The Bay Area witches, they often have really good ideas, and that's about it. The ideas don't
What's
manifest.
an idea
Nobody
without
actually does
follow-through?
People just get high and forget to ever do anything. And they wanted to maybe do something sometime with WitchCon, and they just came in and made shit happen. And that pisses people off.
Look, I am not going to apologize for my Puritan fucking work ethic. If somebody asked me today, because I was dealing with so many... I've actually now have 2 gardeners on staff, like companies, 2 landscaping companies. because people here, they'll show up, once a month. So I figure, well, I really want a weekly landscaper. So if I hire 2 companies and they show up once a month, I at least get twice a month, not weekly. I mean, the one that's coming tomorrow, I have a feeling they may actually show up weekly, in which case I'll fire the other one. But something tells me the moment I fire the other one, these people won't be weekly anymore. So it's like, well, I can afford to have 2 or 3 gardeners. I'll just, you know what I mean? I don't rather have 2 or 3 and they're going to show up, but if these people don't have the follow through, that's not my problem. Devin on his last kiss off to me, I tried to be your friend. It's like, it's not about being my friend. I don't like what they did to Yesha Matthews. I don't like it. They tried to destroy her forever. And the problem that I have with the cancel culture is that it doesn't have a shelf life. You're never going to get me on board. Look, Carano there should have been fired. Should she never work again? I don't know if I agree with that. However, what you want to talk about magical warfare? How about the fact that she really won the war? Because she just got hired by a conservative Jewish guy who obviously had no problem with her comments about the Holocaust, which I think were wrong, but nonetheless, now she's got this new gig. Like, they're making her this huge... Nobody knew who she was. She was some fat chick on The Mandalorian nobody knew the name of. I mean, I saw her. She was cool. It's like she looks like a fat version of Xena the Warrior Princess. That was my... When I saw her on The Mandalorian, I said, wait a minute. She looks like, what's Xena? Who plays Xena? I can't remember her fucking name. Who plays Xena the Warrior Princess?
Xena the Warrior Princess? I have no idea.
Hold on. Xena Warrior Princess. Hold on. I'm going to look at the thing. What's her fucking name there? Lucy Lawless. She looks like a fat Lucy Lawless, 20 years ago. And that was all I thought of her. Now you can't get away from her name. She's this major conservative icon. Probably going to become some pundit and make all kinds of money, be in the next, whatever the hell her name is.
There's a lag. Marta's in the house yelling out, Lucy Lawless.
No, she'll be, next thing you know.
Yeah, we already know. It's Lucy
next
Lawless.
thing you know, the next thing you know, she's going to be the next Ann Coulter, the fat Ann Coulter, and she'll be making all this money. Like, here's the thing with the cancel culture that these people fail to understand as they desperately cling to the idea of a safe space, which does not exist in magic. You shouldn't be, if you are looking for a safe space, get the fuck out of the magical world, because it isn't. So,
fuck at home.
And it never will. Sorry, fuck off. So, they're so desperate that they're like, oh, well, we need to cancel this person. They can never be in the community again. And my attitude is like, well, wait a minute here. There's got to be a shelf life. Now they're trying to think, it's not cancel, it's consequence. Well, consequences have a shelf life. Unless you've done something where you go to jail for life. And the irony there is all these pagans that would cancel people forever are happy to go in and perform prison ministry to the, 5-time serial murder, person. This person's killed 5 women and raped them and, ate their vaginas. And the pagan prison ministry wants to go in and hand them a chalice and tell them about the goddess. But they want to cancel somebody from being able to work ever again. Is there not some sort of weird irony in all of that? You know what I mean? It's like, if you're in jail, they can't wait to get a hold of you. But if you're on the outside, it's like, oh, you can never work again. Well, this is where I'm more left, I think, than right. I am not a socialist, and one of the reasons I'm not a socialist is because when you cancel someone for life, you go from cancel culture to the other favorite culture of the far left, freebie culture. So let's say Gina Carano could never work again. Well, then she just has to say she has fibromyalgia and anxiety, and then she gets a government stipend cuckoo check that says she doesn't have to work because she has feelings. And now, my rather considerable annual tax stipend, I pay more in taxes than most people make in a year as a salary. And so now my taxes have to pay for freebie culture so Gina Carano can suck off the system because she's not supposed to ever work again. Well, no, I don't like her. I think Disney should have fired her. But my issue is, when does the shelf life end? When does that person get? When is that? And where is the line? You know, sure, Disney has the right to fire whoever they want. They don't have to work with people whose politics they don't agree with. I would have fired Gina Carano, but do I think she should never have another job or never? You know, there's got to be a shelf life to these things, because otherwise you're going to create your own enemies, or you're going to create your own dependents, one or the other. So either Gina Carano never works again and ends up on cuckoo check disability. I guess someone said it's difficult to get disability for fibro. Okay, I've had people tell me they got it. But I know half of the psychics in Salem, none that work for me, but half of the psychics in Salem work under the table. I won't say for whom. I don't want to get people in trouble, but they work under the table and they collect disability cuckoo checks for anxiety, PTSD, or any number of things. So all Gina Carano has to do is say, I have PTSD because the world hates me. And now she gets a cuckoo check and she don't have to work ever again, but it costs the state. Yay! You not only canceled this person, made them dependent on the rest of us, but they can still vote. You don't lose the right to vote when you get a cuckoo check. So she can still go and vote Republican and tip the scales. Or worse, you create enemies in the backlash, because, you know, we have this idea on the left. I mean, I'm not that left, but I'm somewhat left. And there's this idea on the left. Oh, if we cancel them forever, they go away. Well, unless you plan on murdering that person, they are going to go somewhere, which is probably going to go, to someone even more dangerous, more right-wing, like Ben Shapiro. Now she's got a huge platform, where before she just had Instagram and some followers. Now she's got this giant platform on the Daily Wire. Now, Neon Cicada said they can't get much, though, right? And, well, it all adds up. If you got, if you've got 1,000...
send people to prison, they come out worse people.
Well, if you've got 1,000 Gina Caranos, it's still money away from my fucking tower of caviar at Restaurant Revolutions. I don't want to pay for freebie culture. No, to be fair, I am all for the safety net. I do think that there should be a base level where people have food and clothing and medical. I'm all for universal health care, the whole 9 yards. What I am not for is freebie culture where all somebody has to say is, cuckoo. And I wouldn't mind the cuckoo check so much. I am. I know people are going to say this is horrible. And what about people with real anxiety? I have real anxiety. I'm probably crazier than anybody that's listening right now. And I turn the van with the white coats into a limo. But the point is that I have a particular hatred of the cuckoo check people, because 99% of my haters that sit there going all day typing horrible things about me are being financed by some government cuckoo check. So it really is kind of irritating that I know that the government, that my taxes are paying my haters to sit there and, eat ice cream all day and say mean things about me. So, yeah, I'm not for the freebie culture. And the fact is that when you cancel these people, they must go somewhere. Unless you plan on murdering them, you might have ostracized them from your social immediacy. They're no longer in your immediate circle, but they're going to go somewhere. Just like Gina Carano went to the Daily Wire. It's like, why does the left not understand this? It's not rocket science. The right understands this. Why do you think they win so much? Because even though the core of the group hates gays and hates this and hates that, have you noticed they've got now transgender, like Blair White, who's like this super right-wing Republican? You've got all these gays that support Trump, and even though this certain boundaries, there's a certain ceiling to gays and trans people on the right. They're still allowed in. Have you noticed that? The right wing knows how to compromise in a way that the left wing purity does not. And I think it is the greatest failure of the left, because they don't understand everything has to be 100% or nothing. And I don't roll that way. I'm a compromiser. I'm a pragmatist. I understand that to get things done, you have to meet people in the middle. It is what it is. It's I know there's going to be people that don't like what it is what it is. I said what I said. But, yeah.
Well, I got to go on record here and say that tonight Christian Day is expressed that he is a kinder humanitarian than I will ever be. Well, I agree with you.
What are you talking about? Aren't you a socialist? I thought you were a socialist.
I agree with you on a larger scale, but in my own personal life, I never unblock anybody. And I've seen you do it before.
I wrote a script.
See how it goes.
I wrote a script that I unblocked.
I never take you out of the freezer. If you went in the fucking freezer, you're gonna be frozen forever. I'm gonna get dry ice if I have to move. You're gonna stay. I don't even remember who those people are in the freezer back there under the fucking.
I don't get anybody in my freezer.
They stay there forever.
I don't have food in my freezer. Brian won't. I got a little bit. There's always something in there I don't want to eat. I'm like, Brian, what is this vegan chicken nugget bullshit? It's always something disgusting. I don't want to eat. Nothing in my freezer. And I don't even got fucking people. I'm just saying. I
threw up in my mouth a little bit.
I'm just saying. Yeah, but aren't you a socialist? You're like the epitome of freebie.
I'm an anarcho-socialist. Not freebie. That's not what socialism is. We all put into the larger pot that is our government. We pay our taxes, and when the people are in need, the government's supposed to take care of the people.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that, but that's not like the,
without representation.
But that's not the socialism. Like, look at Elohim, who is, he's from Venezuela. So
socialism is ultimately the workers control the means.
I know, but they destroyed Venezuela.
And I'm all for that.
I'm not. It destroyed Venezuela, and that's where the pagans love to hang on every word he says because he's really good.
Well, there wasn't socialism. That's always the problem with these arguments, that we've never actually had socialism or communism or democracy on this planet. They're all lovely ideas that if anybody actually implemented any of them, and they probably work, but nobody's actually done that. The communist
people are
countries
involved.
aren't actually communist countries. The socialist countries aren't actually socialist. They're totalitarian states.
Whenever you have people involved, it's going to... There's always going to be a greed, whether it's greed for money, greed for power or influence or, superiority, whatever the greed is, it's always going to take over. It's a course. I think most of these political systems are failures. I'm not necessarily pro-capitalist, at least not without, I'm capitalist with lots of regulations. Particularly where the environment is concerned, I don't think we can afford to keep ignoring the devastation. Now you've got, all the hurricanes last year, which, with all due respect to Storm, I think is more about the climate change than the Zodiac. But and then you've got, wildfires, and and you've got fucking Texas, under sheets of ice. There is something going on that
the wildfires with the Jewish space lasers, though.
Well, whatever the case may be, we need to address this, and I think where capitalism failed, but so does not for anything. Communism and socialism are about the means of production, and production doesn't.
Socialism is more about the means of production. Then communism recognizes that, but communism's like everybody pays an equal share. Everybody pays into the system.
I get it, but none of those systems they are all about like in terms of socialism, communism. They're about the worker. I mean, look at the symbol of communism.
Yes.
None of those systems take the. None of those. Whitehawk says she's on a cuckoo check for PTSD. Well, no, you're okay because you say nice things about me. What is it? Even communism and socialism does not place the environment first. Look at China's pollution. You know what I mean? Like, none of what we have in existence now addresses these things because all of our existing political systems were created before the environment was in the danger it's in. Karl Marx Adam Smith, none of these people, the Adam Smith liberals, the sort of laissez-faire economics, none of these people were confronted by an extinction-level environmental event. So, you can't look back at Karl Marx or any of these people and say, well, they have the perfect system, because none of them are built to address what we are now facing. Not just environmentally, but in terms of population explosion, the fact that our overpopulation is bringing us into contact with far more disease. There are so many factors that Adam Smith and Karl Marx and all these other people back in the day that, set in motion all of the systems that we now live by. They didn't have any of this going on. It's sort of like when they talk about the founding fathers and what the founding fathers, who gives a fuck? The founding fathers had no concept of what we needed to do to save the environment. So there is, I think that if we don't tackle that, none of these other things, whether it be, somebody said, how can we claim to live in a free country if there's still people dying of poverty and hunger? None of it's going to matter if there's no planet to live on. Like, all these trivialities, and I don't mean it in the sense that they are trivial, but they are trivial in comparison to two things. Nuclear war, which is why Trump terrified me. I was always afraid he'd use them. Something like a nuclear war or an extinction level event of viruses, or say, the climate disaster, those things are so much bigger that the issue of children in cages and all the other horrors we face on this planet don't mean anything if we don't address those. And I don't think any of our existing political systems are designed for that. If they were, you'd see at least one of these capitalist or socialist countries really understanding it well beyond where anyone is now. Even the Paris Accords are a level of lip service when you really boil it down. None of it is really taking the action to protect our world that should happen. And, we all contribute to it. And sometimes not by choice. In my case, they recycle in New Orleans, though I don't really think they do. Honestly, I think whatever you put in that recycle thing probably gets thrown into everything else. No, this is you can say, laugh, but this is New Orleans. I'm willing to bet money that at least 70% of what people put in that recycle does not end up getting recycled. And that's being quite kind. But we can't recycle because we had a recycle bin. I had to pay someone to steal it because I had no way to throw it out. It's not like the trash people are going to take the recycle bin. I had to pay somebody to steal it because the people that have the little parties in the park next door don't have a trash because they're not a legal park. So there's no actual physical, like they don't have, like a park has those park trash cans. This is just some old white dude that is probably wanting to molest little black children, or I don't really know what the fuck. This dude that owns this land next to our house is one of the creepiest people I've ever met in my life. He peacocks around. He's from England and he runs this park, and he has a board of directors that has like 8 white people and 1 black person, but yet it's a black neighborhood. And so he just really, it's just really bizarre. It is like the worst kind of virtue signaling white savior bullshit I think I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, it's a park. They have parties. You can't really blame them because the fuckface that owns it from England won't put in, actual park style trash cans, things that are permanently there. So they use ours. And they don't put, when they look at the recycle one, they don't say, oh, this is a recycle one. No. So literally I go out to the recycle bin and I see the thing half full with crawfish shells. Well, they sure ain't going to take those. So then it gets left there for weeks on end. So I was like, they're never going to take crawfish. So I just paid somebody to steal them. So no, like Mrs. Ackerman, remember Cereal Mom, do you recycle? You don't have room in my kitchen. Well, I can't recycle. I wish I could, but I can't. It's forbidden to me because if I go to put something in the recycle bin, it will be covered with crawfish guts and there will be absolutely nothing I can do about it because of the fuckface that owns the park next door, which isn't really a park and doesn't have park style, whatever. So, no, I don't recycle. I can't. I wish I could. We even had the two things in our kitchen barrel had the two sides, and we would wash the thing. And it was an exercise in futility. It's one more thing that is bizarre about the city. People don't understand it. Like, I've now assigned my assistant, Kevin. I'm like, Kevin, I need you to find me a gardener. I need you to find me a contractor. I need you to find me a plumber because I can't be bothered chasing these people all over creation. And then they never show up. And no one they all think, well, I can't be as bad as you say. And then I put Kevin in and he's like, oh my God, it's worse than you say. Like, I would lose my shit if I had this happen in Massachusetts. It doesn't happen in Massachusetts. You would have, if you call a plumber, they show up. If you ask somebody, can you recommend an electrician, a plumber, whatever, people go, oh, yeah, I know these three people, and this one's great, and oh, this one's that, and, blah, 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 blah. Not here. Oh, I won't recommend anybody because they all suck. Like, literally, you can barely get recommendations here because they all end up sucking.
What do I do for recommendations?
Huh?
Hey, we're going to get out of here and watch your show.
Oh, well, if you're ending, I'm ending because I'm already running over.
Oh.
Plus, I got
very entertaining.
Well, I get pizza coming, so pizza. I've run for 3 hours and 8 minutes. For Christ's sake, you can get me again next week. Just come early.
Yeah, well, you kept us waiting for a while, so we needed our fix. Was that 3 hours, really? Wow.
I'm at 3 hours and 8 minutes. I can go on forever without even. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining in. I don't know what episode 4 will bring. I know I had things I didn't get to this week that I wanted to talk about, but the callers are my co-hosts. I didn't get many today, so I don't know. I did have a lot of people watching, but people weren't calling. But I do very much want the subjects to be driven.
Take time to catch on.
Well, I want the subjects to be driven by the people. Obviously, I have my things that I'm going to want to talk about. And, oh, yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, there were a few things I didn't talk about. But I did talk about Mephistopheles, which was fun. Anyway, Zenrez asked, when's the next episode? That would be Wednesday at 8 p.m. And obviously it could run to 10 p.m. It's definitely
right after Wittersheet.
Right. It's definitely 2 hours, but obviously when I get, if I'm still going, I'm still going. And it probably stopped on Facebook. I think it only allows 3 hours. If you're on Facebook.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Or is it 5?
I've never gone that long.
I can't remember.
I've never had a cutoff.
I don't know. I do not
know. We're
watching
you on YouTube on the big screen.
Well, there's still... Oh, I don't know. Is there still people looking at me on? I don't see any people from... Yeah, it looks like everybody's on YouTube. No. I'm still there. Cool. Anyway, good night, everyone. Good night, Marta and Michael. Good night, Satan. Everybody have a wonderful, pleasant dream.
John Boy.